Your English does not stop in your mouth because you do not know enough words. It stops because your brain has no engine to build sentences fast. You understand English, you know grammar, you have learnt hundreds of words. But when someone asks you a simple question, your mind suddenly becomes blank. You know the answer inside, but English does not come out. You start translating, searching, correcting, and waiting for the perfect sentence, and by the time your sentence is ready, the conversation has already moved on. This is the hidden pain of millions of English learners. They do not need more random vocabulary. They do not need another grammar rule. They need a sentence system inside the mind that can build English automatically, because fluent speakers are not creating every sentence from zero. They are using patterns. They are using sentence frames. They are using ready English roads that their brain has repeated so many times that speaking feels natural. That is why their words come fast, while yours feels stuck. But this can be trained. The English sentence engine will show you how to stop translating, stop building sentences word by word, and start creating English sentences through simple patterns that your brain can use instantly. You will learn how to turn words into sentences, sentences into flow, and flow into real speaking confidence. So before we begin, subscribe to English Mindset Academy if you are serious about speaking English naturally. And in the comments write, "My sentences will come fast." Do not wait for confidence to appear. Build the engine that creates confidence. Now, let us begin the English sentence engine. Chapter 1. Why your mind freezes when you try to speak English. There is a painful moment every English learner understands deeply, even if they never say it out loud. You may sit alone and understand English lessons easily. You may read English sentences and know what they mean. You may watch videos, repeat vocabulary, learn grammar rules, and feel that your English is improving. But the moment someone asks you a real question in English, something strange happens inside your mind. Your thoughts are there, your answer is there, your ideas are clear, but English does not come out with the same speed. Your brain becomes heavy, your mouth becomes slow, your confidence drops, and suddenly, a simple conversation feels like a test you were not ready for. This moment hurts because it makes learners doubt themselves. They begin to think, maybe my English is not good enough. Maybe I did not study enough. Maybe I am not talented. Maybe I will never speak fluently. But the truth is different. Your mind is not empty because you are weak. Your mind freezes because it is trying to build English sentences in the slowest possible way. When you speak your own language, you do not build every sentence word by word. You do not stop and ask yourself, what is the subject? What is the verb? Which tense should I use? Which preposition is correct? The sentence appears because your brain has heard and used those patterns thousands of times. But in English, many learners do the opposite. They first think in their own language, then translate into English, then check grammar, then search for the right word, then worry about pronunciation, then fear making mistakes, and only after all of that, they try to speak. That is too much work for one small sentence. This is why your English feels slow, not because you do not know English, but because your brain is carrying too many steps. Real conversation does not wait for your translation. The person in front of you does not pause while you arrange every word perfectly. Conversation moves like water. If your sentence engine is slow, your thoughts stay trapped behind your silence. Many learners say, I understand English, but I cannot speak. But this sentence is not the full truth. The deeper truth is this: you understand English as information, but you have not trained English as an automatic speaking system. Understanding is not the same as speaking. Reading a sentence is not the same as producing a sentence. Knowing grammar is not the same as using grammar in real time. Memorizing vocabulary is not the same as turning vocabulary into speech. This is where learners get stuck for years. They keep adding more English into their mind, but they do not build the system that makes English come out. They collect words like stones, but they do not build a road. They memorize rules like tools, but they do not build a machine. They watch lessons for hours, but they still cannot answer quickly because the sentence engine inside the mind has not been trained. Imagine a factory with many materials inside it, but no working machine. There is wood, metal, glass, electricity, and workers, but no engine to connect everything. Nothing moves properly. This is how many learners English feels. They have vocabulary, they have grammar, they have understanding. But when speaking begins, the parts do not connect fast enough. The words do not become sentences. The sentences do not become flow. The flow does not become confidence. A fluent speaker has an engine. That engine is made of patterns, sentence frames, chunks, rhythm, repetition, and confidence built through use. Fluent speakers do not create every sentence from nothing. They use ready structures that already live inside their mind. When they want to give an opinion, they do not panic. Their brain opens a road, I think, in my opinion, the way I see it. When they want to explain, another road opens, the reason is, what I mean is. For example, when they want to disagree, another road opens, I understand your point, but I'm not sure I agree because. These roads make speaking faster. Your mind freezes because it does not yet have enough ready roads in English. So every time you try to speak, your brain stands in front of an empty field and tries to build a road while the conversation is already moving. This is why you feel pressure. This is why you stop. This is why you say short answers even when your thoughts are bigger. This is why you understand more than you can speak. This is not a permanent problem. It is a training problem. You do not need to become perfect before you speak. You need to train sentence patterns until your brain can use them automatically. You do not need to memorize every word in the dictionary. You need to learn how to place the words you already know into strong sentence frames. You do not need to wait for confidence. You need to build the engine that creates confidence. The first enemy of fast speaking is translation. Translation makes your mind late. When someone asks you, "What do you think about this?" your brain may first create the answer in your own language. Then it tries to convert it into English. But your own language may have a different sentence order, different expressions, and different rhythm. So your brain struggles to carry the idea across. It is like moving furniture through a narrow door. Everything gets stuck. But when you use an English frame, the process becomes faster. Instead of translating the whole answer, you begin with a pattern. I think the most important thing is, now your brain has a structure. Your idea enters the structure. The sentence starts moving. You may still make small mistakes, but you are speaking, and speaking with small mistakes is more powerful than silent perfection. The second enemy is perfection pressure. Many learners do not speak because they are waiting for the perfect sentence. They want the grammar to be perfect, the word to be perfect, the pronunciation to be perfect, and the accent to be perfect. But perfection pressure kills fluency. It makes your mind afraid to move. It tells your brain, do not speak until everything is safe. But real speaking grows by moving, not by waiting. A fluent speaker is not someone who never makes mistakes. A fluent speaker is someone who can continue even when the sentence is not perfect. They correct naturally, they explain again, they choose simpler words, they keep the conversation alive. This is the skill you must build. Not perfect English first, but moving English first. The third enemy is word-by-word thinking. When you build every sentence word by word, your brain becomes slow. You think, I want to improve my English, and every word feels separate. But real English speaking works better in chunks. I want to improve is not 5 separate decisions. It should become one automatic opening. The reason is, should become one automatic opening. What I mean is, should become one automatic opening. These chunks reduce pressure and give your mind speed. This is why the English sentence engine begins with awareness. Before you can change your speaking, you must understand why it freezes. Your mind freezes because it is overloaded with translation, perfection, word-by-word thinking, and lack of automatic sentence patterns. Once you understand this, you stop blaming yourself. You stop thinking you are slow. You stop thinking you are not made for English. You realize the truth. Your sentence engine simply needs training. Think about driving a car. A beginner driver thinks about everything. The mirror, the brake, the steering wheel, the road, the speed, the signals. Because everything is new, the mind feels overloaded. But after enough practice, many actions become automatic. The driver still pays attention, but they do not think about every tiny movement. Speaking English is the same. At first, everything feels heavy because your brain is controlling every detail. But with sentence training, patterns become automatic. Then your mind becomes free to focus on meaning. This is what you want. You do not want to spend all your mental energy building basic sentence structure. You want basic structures to come automatically so you can focus on expressing your real idea. When I think comes automatically, you can focus on what you think. When the reason is comes automatically, you can focus on the reason. When for example comes automatically, you can focus on the example. This is how speaking becomes lighter. Many learners think they need advanced English to speak fluently, but this is not always true. Sometimes what they need is automatic simple English. A simple sentence spoken quickly and clearly is better than a complex sentence trapped inside the mind. Simple English can create real communication. Simple English can build confidence. Simple English can become longer with practice. But silent advanced English helps no one. Do not disrespect simple patterns. They are the foundation of fluency. I think, I feel, I want, I need. The problem is, the reason is. For example, these phrases may look basic, but they are powerful because they open the mouth. They start the sentence, they create movement, and once movement begins, confidence has something to stand on. This chapter is asking you to make a serious shift. Stop measuring your English only by how many words you know. Measure it by how quickly you can build useful sentences. Stop asking, how much grammar do I know? Ask, which grammar patterns can I use without freezing? Stop asking, how many vocabulary words did I memorize? Ask, how many of those words can I put into sentences today? This shift changes everything because it moves you from passive learning to active speaking. Passive learning fills your mind. Active speaking trains your engine. Passive learning says, I know this. Active speaking asks, can I use this? And the learner who can use English is stronger than the learner who only recognizes English. From today, whenever your mind freezes, do not panic. Do not insult yourself. Do not say my English is bad. Instead, ask, what sentence frame did I need in that moment? If you froze while giving an opinion, train opinion frames. If you froze while explaining a reason, train reason frames. If you froze while telling a story, train story frames. If you froze while answering a question, train answer frames. Every frozen moment is not failure. It is information. This is a powerful way to learn because your real speaking problems become your practice map. You no longer study randomly, you train what your mouth actually needs. If you cannot start sentences, train starters. If you cannot continue, train connectors. If you cannot explain, train explanation frames. If you cannot describe, train description patterns. If you cannot answer fast, train short response chunks. This is how your engine grows in the right direction. The goal of this book is not to make you sound like a textbook. The goal is to make your English move. Moving English becomes stronger. Moving English becomes clearer. Moving English becomes more confident. When you speak, you will make mistakes, but your brain will learn. When you repeat frames, your mouth will become faster. When you build patterns daily, your sentence engine will become stronger. And slowly, the silence that used to control you will begin to break. Remember this golden truth. Your mind does not need more pressure, it needs more patterns. Pressure makes you freeze. Patterns make you move. Pressure says, speak perfectly. Patterns say, start here. Pressure says, do not make mistakes. Patterns say, continue the sentence. Pressure closes your mouth. patterns open it. So before you move to the next chapter, take this truth deeply into your heart. You are not a failed English learner. You are not too slow. You are not empty. You are not behind forever. You are simply learning how to build the sentence engine that fluent speakers use naturally. The engine can be built, the patterns can be trained, the sentence roads can become automatic. The words that feel stuck today can begin to move tomorrow, and when your sentence engine becomes stronger, everything changes. You will not wait so long before speaking. You will not translate every sentence from the beginning. You will not fear every mistake like an enemy. You will start with simple frames. You will connect ideas. You will speak in motion. You will answer with more confidence. You will feel English becoming less like a school subject and more like a voice inside you. This is the beginning of the English sentence engine, not another grammar lesson, not another list of words. This is the training of your mind to create sentences automatically so the English you already know can finally come out through your mouth. Chapter 2. Stop building every sentence from zero. One of the biggest reasons English learners speak slowly is because they try to create every sentence from nothing. Every time they want to speak, their mind opens a blank page. They do not start with a ready English structure. They start with pressure. They search for the first word, then the second word, then the grammar, then the tense, then the correct order, then the pronunciation. And while all of this is happening inside the mind, the mouth stays silent. This is why speaking feels heavy. The learner is not only speaking, the learner is designing, translating, correcting, and judging at the same time. This is the slowest way to speak English. Fluent speakers do not build every sentence from zero. They speak through patterns. They have thousands of ready-made sentence roads inside their mind. When they want to give an opinion, a road opens automatically. When they want to explain a reason, another road opens automatically. When they want to tell a story, another road opens automatically. When they want to ask for clarification, disagree politely, describe a problem, or continue a conversation, their brain does not stand in an empty place. Their brain already has structures prepared. This is what makes fluent speech feel fast. It is not that fluent speakers are creating magic every second. It is that their brain has repeated common patterns so many times that those patterns appear without struggle. They are not thinking about grammar in the same way a learner thinks about grammar. They are feeling the structure. They are moving through familiar roads. Their English comes fast because the roads are already built. Many learners misunderstand fluency. They think fluency means knowing many difficult words. They think fluency means speaking with advanced vocabulary. They think fluency means never making mistakes. But real fluency begins with something much simpler and more powerful: the ability to start sentences quickly and continue them naturally. If you cannot start, you freeze. If you cannot continue, you stop. If you cannot connect ideas, your English remains short and broken. This is why sentence patterns are not small. Sentence patterns are the foundation of spoken fluency. Think about the simple frame, I think. This frame looks basic, but it is powerful. It can open hundreds of sentences. I think this is important. I think we should try again. I think English becomes easier with practice. I think the biggest problem is translation. I think learners need more speaking practice. One small frame gives your mind a place to begin. You do not need to create the start again. You only add your idea. Now think about the frame, the reason is. This frame helps you explain. The reason is simple. The reason is that I need more practice. The reason is that my brain translates too much. The reason is that I know words but cannot arrange them quickly. Again, your brain does not need to invent the whole sentence from nothing. The road is already there. Your idea simply enters it. This is the secret of fast speaking. You do not need to force your brain to produce perfect sentences from an empty mind. You need to fill your mind with flexible frames that can carry many ideas. A sentence frame is like a container. When the container is ready, you can put different meanings inside it. Without the container, your thoughts spill everywhere. With the container, your thoughts become sentences. Most learners collect vocabulary, but they do not collect sentence containers. They memorize words like important, difficult, improve, confident, conversation, understand, and practice. But when it is time to speak, those words sit separately in the mind. The learner knows the words but does not know how to use them quickly. This is why vocabulary alone does not create speaking power. A word must have a sentence home. Do not only learn the word important, learn frames like it is important too. The most important thing is, I think it is important because. Now the word can live inside real speech. Do not only learn the word difficult, learn frames like it is difficult for me too. The difficult part is, I find it difficult when. Now the word becomes useful. Do not only learn the word confidence, learn frames like I feel confident when. Confidence comes from. The best way to build confidence is, now the word has movement. This is how vocabulary becomes speaking. A word alone is knowledge. A word inside a sentence frame is power. A word alone may stay silent in your memory. A word inside a pattern can come out of your mouth. This is why the English sentence engine does not train learners to memorize random words only. It trains learners to organize words into patterns that can be used quickly. You must understand this deeply. Your brain loves patterns. It does not want to build everything from zero every time. It wants shortcuts. It wants repeated structures. It wants familiar openings. It wants predictable roads. This is not laziness. This is how the brain becomes efficient. In your own language, your brain already uses thousands of patterns automatically. You do not notice them because they are natural to you. English must become the same through training. When you speak your own language, you are not inventing every sentence from nothing. You are using patterns you have heard since childhood. You say common phrases, common openings, common endings, common connectors, and common reactions without thinking. That is why your own language feels easy. It is not because every sentence is new. It is because your brain has used similar sentences thousands of times. English becomes easier when you give your brain the same pattern repetition. This is why learners who only study grammar often struggle to speak. Grammar rules explain how English works, but they do not automatically make your mouth fast. You may know the rule for present perfect, but still freeze when speaking. You may know the rule for conditionals, but still avoid using them. You may know the difference between since and for, but still hesitate in conversation. Why? Because the rule has not become a speaking pattern. For example, knowing the rule is present perfect is used for experiences or actions connected to the present, but speaking pattern training is I have never, I have already, I have been trying to, I have learned that. When you repeat these frames in real sentences, the grammar becomes active. It moves from the textbook into your mouth. That is the difference between grammar knowledge and grammar fluency. This chapter is not telling you to ignore grammar. Grammar is important, but grammar must become usable. If grammar stays only in your head as rules, it will slow you down. If grammar becomes sentence patterns, it will help you speak. The goal is not to think less intelligently. The goal is to train grammar so well that your brain can use it without freezing. The same is true for vocabulary. Do not throw away vocabulary learning, but change the way you learn it. Every time you learn a new word, attach it to a frame. If you learn improve, say, I want to improve, I am trying to improve. The best way to improve is, I have improved because. Now the word becomes active. If you learn mistake, say, I made a mistake when. One mistake learners make is, mistakes help me because. Now the word is ready for speech. This is how the English sentence engine grows. Word plus frame, frame plus repetition, repetition plus speaking, speaking plus confidence. The first major shift in this chapter is this. Stop asking, how do I translate this sentence? Start asking, which English frame can carry this idea? This question changes everything. Translation makes your brain search in the wrong place. It starts from your first language and tries to move into English. But frame thinking starts inside English. It asks, what English road can I use right now? For example, imagine someone asks you, why do you want to improve your English? A translating learner may first create a full answer in their own language, then try to convert it. But a sentence engine learner starts with a frame. The reason I want to improve my English is, now the answer has already begun. Maybe the learner says, the reason I want to improve my English is because I want to speak confidently and understand people better. It may not be perfect, but it moves. Movement is the beginning of fluency. If someone asks, what is difficult for you? A translating learner may freeze, but a pattern-trained learner begins, the most difficult part for me is, then the idea comes. The most difficult part for me is making sentences quickly. This is natural. This is clear. This is useful. The frame saved the learner from silence. If someone asks, what helped you improve? A trained learner can begin, one thing that helped me was, then continue. One thing that helped me was repeating useful sentence patterns every day. Again, the frame gives the brain a starting point. Starting is powerful because once the sentence begins, confidence often follows. Many learners wait until the whole sentence is ready before they speak. This is why they speak slowly. They want the sentence to be complete inside the mind first. But fluent communication often starts with a frame, and the thought develops while speaking. You do not always need the entire sentence ready before your mouth opens. You need a strong beginning. A strong beginning gives your brain time to finish the idea. This is why phrases like "what I mean is" and "the thing is" are powerful. They help you begin while your brain organizes the rest. They are not empty phrases, they are speaking tools. They keep your English alive when your mind needs one more second. A silent learner may freeze. A trained learner says, "what I mean is," and continues. That small phrase can save a conversation. You must stop thinking of these frames as too simple. Simple frames are not weak. Simple frames are the handles that help you open the door of speaking. A beautiful advanced sentence that never comes out is not useful in conversation. A simple frame that helps you start speaking is powerful. First, build movement. Later, build beauty. First, train simple sentences. Later, make them richer. First, become active. Later, become advanced. This is the order many learners miss. They want advanced English before active English. They want perfect sentences before moving sentences. They want complex grammar before automatic patterns. But fluency does not grow that way. Fluency grows from active, simple patterns repeated until they become automatic, then expanded into longer and richer speech. You do not build the top floor before the foundation. You build the foundation first. The foundation is sentence frames. Let us look at opinion frames. These help you answer many questions. I think, in my opinion, the way I see it. I believe, to me, from my point of view. If these frames are automatic, you can respond quickly when someone asks what you think. Without them, even a simple opinion becomes heavy. With them, your mind has a door. Now, explanation frames. The reason is, this means that, what I'm trying to say is, the main point is, in other words, for example, these frames help you speak longer. They help you explain your thinking. A learner without explanation frames gives short answers. A learner with explanation frames can continue. Now, contrast frames. On the other hand, but at the same time, the difference is, compared to, I understand that, but. These frames make your speaking more mature because real conversations often include different sides of an idea. If you can only say one simple opinion, your speaking stays limited. If you can compare and contrast, your English becomes stronger. Now, problem frames. The problem is, one issue is, the hardest part is, what makes it difficult is. These frames help you talk about struggles clearly. They are very useful for English learners because you often need to explain what is difficult for you. Now, solution frames. The best way to fix this is, one solution is, what helped me was. If you want to improve, you need to. These frames help you sound confident and helpful. They turn your English from short reactions into meaningful communication. Now, story frames. I remember when, one day, at first, after that, then I realized, that was the moment when. These frames help you tell stories. Storytelling is one of the biggest parts of real speaking. If you cannot tell stories, your conversations remain small. Story frames help your English become personal. Now, experience frames. In my experience, I have noticed that. I used to. I have been trying to. One thing I learned is, these frames help you speak from your life. When you can connect English to your own life, speaking becomes more meaningful and easier to remember. These frames are not just phrases, they are engine parts. Each type of frame does a different job. Opinion frames help you respond. Explanation frames help you continue. Contrast frames help you sound balanced. Problem frames help you describe difficulty. Solution frames help you give advice. Story frames help you narrate. Experience frames help you become personal. When these parts work together, your sentence engine becomes strong. But there is one important warning. Do not only read these frames and think, I know them. Reading is not enough. Recognition is not ownership. A frame is not truly yours until you can use it automatically while speaking. If you need to look at a list every time, the frame is still outside you. If it comes from your mouth when you need it, it is becoming part of your engine. How do you make a frame automatic? Through repetition with variation. Repetition means you say the frame many times. Variation means you change the idea inside it. If you repeat only one sentence, you may memorize that sentence. But if you repeat the frame with many different endings, your brain learns flexibility. Flexibility is the real power. You do not want one memorized sentence. You want a sentence pattern that can create many sentences. Take the frame I think and create 20 endings. I think English is important. I think practice is necessary. I think mistakes are normal. I think listening helps speaking. I think sentence frames make English faster. I think confidence comes from repetition. Now your brain is not only repeating, it is building. It is learning how to attach ideas to a frame quickly. Take the frame, the reason is, and do the same. The reason is, I need more time. The reason is, my mind translates too much. The reason is, I do not practice speaking daily. The reason is, I am afraid of mistakes. The reason is, my sentence patterns are not automatic. Every sentence strengthens the road. Take the frame, it is difficult for me to, and build many sentences. It is difficult for me to speak fast. It is difficult for me to answer immediately. It is difficult for me to stop translating. It is difficult for me to remember words during conversation. It is difficult for me to speak when I feel nervous. This practice helps your brain describe struggle quickly. This is how you stop building every sentence from zero. You train a road again and again until your brain knows how to use it. Imagine a musician practicing scales. At first, the movement is slow. The fingers hesitate. The musician thinks about every note. But after repetition, the fingers begin to move automatically. The musician is not less intelligent because the movement is automatic. The musician is more free because the basics no longer require full attention. English sentences work the same way. When sentence frames become automatic, your mind becomes free to focus on your real message. This is what you want. You do not want to spend all your speaking energy on the skeleton of the sentence. You want the skeleton to appear quickly so you can focus on meaning, emotion, and connection. Frames give you that skeleton. Your ideas give the sentence life. Another reason learners build from zero is because they do not review enough. They learn a phrase today and forget it tomorrow. Then, during conversation, the phrase does not appear. The brain returns to translation because the English frame was not repeated enough. This is why review is not optional. Review is how patterns become available. A frame you hear once is a stranger. A frame you repeat 10 times is familiar. A frame you use for 30 days becomes a tool. A frame you use in real conversation becomes part of you. Do not expect a frame to appear under pressure if you only looked at it once. Pressure reveals what is trained. If you want frames to come during conversation, train them before conversation. This is why daily frame practice matters. Every day, choose a few frames and speak through them. Do not wait for someone to ask you questions. Ask yourself questions. What do I think about English learning? What is difficult for me? What helped me improve? What do I want to change? Then answer using frames. This turns your mind into a training room. For example, what do I think about English learning? I think English learning becomes easier when I practice small patterns daily. What is difficult for me? The most difficult part for me is making sentences quickly without translating. What helped me improve? One thing that helped me was repeating useful sentence frames every morning. What do I want to change? I want to stop waiting for perfect sentences and start speaking with simple patterns. This is simple but powerful. Your brain learns how to answer. Your mouth learns how to move. Your confidence learns that speaking is possible. Many learners avoid self-speaking because they think it feels strange. But silence is more dangerous than strange practice. If you never practice speaking alone, your mouth waits for real conversations to train. But real conversations are high pressure. It is better to train in a safe place first. Athletes do not practice only during the match. Musicians do not practice only during the concert. Speakers do not rehearse only on stage. English learners must not practice only when someone is waiting for an answer. Practice before the moment arrives. Self-speaking with frames is one of the fastest ways to build the sentence engine. It allows you to repeat patterns without fear. It gives you time to make mistakes privately. It lets your mouth become comfortable with English movement. Then, when real conversation comes, you are not starting from zero. Your brain has already walked those roads. There is another powerful technique, frame stacking. Frame stacking means you connect multiple frames to create a longer answer. For example, start with an opinion frame. I think English speaking is difficult. Then add a reason frame. The reason is that many learners translate too much. Then add an example frame. For example, when someone asks a question, they know the answer but cannot say it quickly. Then add a solution frame. The best way to fix this is to train sentence frames daily. Now you have a full spoken answer. It is clear, it is structured, it is powerful, and it was built from frames. This is how longer speaking happens. You do not need to create a perfect long paragraph from nothing. You stack frames. Opinion plus reason plus example plus solution, problem plus explanation plus example plus result, experience plus lesson plus advice. These structures help you speak longer without getting lost. This is a major difference between slow learners and trained speakers. Slow learners think a long answer must be created all at once. Trained speakers know a long answer is built piece by piece. One frame opens the idea, another frame explains it, another frame gives an example, another frame finishes the point. This makes speaking manageable. Do not underestimate connectors. Connectors are like bridges between sentences. Without connectors, your English becomes a group of separate lines. With connectors, your English becomes flow. Words like because, so, but, for example, that's why, at the same time, and on the other hand, make your speaking longer and smoother. They help your thoughts travel. A learner may say, I want to speak English. I practice daily. I make mistakes. I feel nervous. These sentences are clear, but disconnected. Now connect them. I want to speak English confidently, so I practice daily. But sometimes I make mistakes and feel nervous. That's why I need more speaking practice. This sounds more natural. The ideas are connected. The sentence engine is stronger. This is why you should train not only sentence frames but connector frames. The reason is, that's why. At the same time, for example, this means that these phrases keep your English moving, they prevent silence, they make your speaking sound more mature. Another reason you should stop building from zero is that it creates too much fear. When every sentence feels new, every sentence feels dangerous. You worry that you will choose the wrong word, wrong tense, wrong order, or wrong pronunciation. But when you use familiar frames, your fear becomes smaller. The beginning is safe, the structure is known. Your brain has something to hold. Confidence often comes from familiarity. If a frame is familiar, you are more willing to speak. If everything feels new, you hesitate. This is why repetition creates confidence. It makes English feel less unknown. The more familiar the pattern, the less fear your brain feels. This is also why learners should practice high-frequency frames first. High-frequency frames are frames used often in real life. Do not start by memorizing rare advanced structures you may use once a year. Start with the sentences you need every day. I think, I want, I need, ye feel, I'm trying to, it depends on, the problem is, the reason is, what I mean is. Can you explain? These are useful. These will appear in many conversations. When these common frames become automatic, your speaking changes quickly because you can use them everywhere. Later, you can add advanced frames, but first, build the core engine. A strong core engine will support everything else. Now let us talk about mistake fear again. Some learners think using frames makes their English less original. They say, if I use ready frames, am I just memorizing? No, you are not memorizing like a robot. You are training structure. Every language uses structure. Even native speakers use common frames constantly. They say, I don't know if, the thing is, what I'm saying is, you know what I mean. At the end of the day, these are patterns. Human speech is full of patterns. Originality comes from your ideas, not from inventing grammar every time. The frame is only the road. Your meaning is the journey. Two people can use the same frame and express completely different thoughts. I think can carry a simple idea, a deep idea, a funny idea, a personal idea, or a professional idea. The frame does not limit you, it frees you. This is very important for learners who feel ashamed of using simple sentence starters. Do not be ashamed. Use them, repeat them, master them, then expand them. Every fluent speaker uses simple structures. The difference is that fluent speakers use them smoothly, confidently, and flexibly. That is your goal. You must also train your mouth to start without delay. One practice is called the 3-second start. Ask yourself a question and begin answering within 3 seconds using a frame. Do not wait for the perfect sentence. Start with I think, or the reason is, or in my experience. This trains your brain to move quickly. At first, your answer may be simple. That is fine. You are training the start. Starting fast is important because hesitation becomes a habit. If your brain always waits too long, it learns to freeze. But if you train fast, starts with simple frames, your brain learns movement. Movement reduces fear. Once the sentence begins, the next words often come more easily. The first step is the hardest. Frames make the first step easier. Another practice is frame replacement. Take a sentence in your own language that you often want to say, but instead of translating it directly, choose an English frame. For example, you want to say, I am learning English because I want better opportunities. Do not translate word by word. Use the frame, the reason I'm learning English is, then say, the reason I'm learning English is that I want better opportunities. This teaches your mind to choose English structure first. This practice slowly changes your thinking. Instead of asking, what is the English translation of my sentence? Your brain begins asking, which English frame fits this meaning? This is the birth of English thinking. English thinking does not begin with advanced ideas. It begins with English structure. Another powerful practice is daily frame journaling aloud. Do not only write, speak. Choose 3 frames and make spoken journal sentences. Today I noticed that. One thing I need to improve is. Tomorrow I want to. These frames help you talk about your life in English. Your life becomes practice material. This is powerful because you do not need special topics. Every day gives you something to say. For example, today I noticed that I still translate when I speak. One thing I need to improve is my sentence speed. Tomorrow I want to practice 10 sentence frames. This is simple, direct, and useful. If you speak like this every day, your sentence engine becomes stronger. The key is not to make every sentence beautiful. The key is to make sentences come out. Beauty can come later. Speed can come later. Advanced style can come later. But first, your English must move. A car that does not start cannot win a race. Your sentence engine must start. Frames are the ignition. There will be days when you still freeze. That is normal. Do not think this chapter promises instant perfection. It gives you a path. The next time you freeze, remember, freezing means the frame is not trained yet. It does not mean you are hopeless. It tells you what to practice. If you froze while explaining, train explanation frames. If you froze while giving examples, train example frames. If you froze while giving an opinion, train opinion frames. This is how every weakness becomes training. Your speaking mistakes are not enemies, they are signals. Your silence is not proof of failure. It is a sign that your sentence roads need building. Your slow answers are not shameful. They are evidence that your patterns need repetition. Once you see speaking this way, you stop attacking yourself and start training intelligently. This is the mindset of a serious learner. A serious learner does not say, "I am bad at English." A serious learner says, "My opinion frames need training." A serious learner does not say, "I cannot speak." A serious learner says, "My sentence starters are not automatic yet." A serious learner does not say, "I always freeze." A serious learner says, "I need more frame repetition under light pressure." This mindset gives you control. Control is powerful because when you know what to train, you no longer feel lost. Many learners feel lost because speaking feels like one giant problem. But the English sentence engine breaks it into trainable parts: start frames, opinion frames, reason frames, example frames, connector frames, story frames, solution frames. Each part can be trained. Each part can become stronger. Each part can help your sentences come faster. Now understand the golden rule of this chapter. Do not build every sentence from zero. Build from patterns. Patterns are faster than translation. Patterns are lighter than grammar checking. Patterns are more reliable than waiting for confidence. Patterns help your brain begin, continue, and finish. When you use patterns, your mind has less work. Less work means less panic. Less panic means more speaking. More speaking means more practice. More practice means more confidence. More confidence means your English becomes alive. This is the cycle you want. You do not need to know every English sentence in advance. You need to know the patterns that can create many sentences. You do not need a perfect answer ready before speaking. You need a strong frame to begin. You do not need to translate your whole thought. You need an English road that can carry it. This is how sentences begin to come fast. At the end of this chapter, make a decision. Stop treating English speaking like a blank page test. Start treating it like pattern training. Every day build roads. Every day repeat frames. Every day place new words inside sentence homes. Every day speak through structures until they become automatic. This is not childish. This is not too simple. This is how the engine is built. The learner who builds from zero will always feel late. The learner who builds from patterns will begin to move. And once your English begins to move, your confidence will finally have something real to stand on. Chapter 3, Train your mind with sentence frames. If Chapter 2 taught you that fluent speakers do not build every sentence from zero, then Chapter 3 will show you the real tool that makes sentences come fast. That tool is called a sentence frame. A sentence frame is a ready English structure that your brain can use again and again with different ideas. It is like a strong road already built inside your mind. When you need to speak, your thoughts do not have to walk through confusion. They can enter the frame and move forward. This is where many English learners begin to change. Before sentence frames, speaking feels like pressure. After sentence frames, speaking begins to feel like movement. Before sentence frames, your mind asks, "How do I say this perfectly?" After sentence frames, your mind asks, "Which frame can carry this idea?" That small change is powerful because it removes the empty blank page from your brain. You are no longer standing in silence, trying to create English from nothing. You have a beginning, you have a structure, you have a path. A sentence frame is simple, but it can create hundreds of sentences. For example, look at the frame. I feel when. This one frame can create many real sentences. I feel nervous when I speak English. I feel confident when I practice every day. I feel confused when people speak too fast. I feel happy when I understand a full conversation. The frame stays the same, but the meaning changes. This is why sentence frames are so powerful. They give your brain a structure, and your idea fills the empty space. Now look at another frame. The reason is, you can say the reason is simple. The reason is that I need more practice. The reason is that I translate too much. The reason is that my sentence patterns are not automatic yet. One frame gives you many answers. It helps you explain, continue, and speak longer without freezing. This is how fluent speakers speak. They do not always think in individual words. They think in ready language shapes. Their brain knows how to begin an opinion, how to explain a reason, how to give an example, how to continue a story, how to disagree politely, and how to finish a point. These shapes are not magic. They are trained patterns, and if you train them daily, your brain can use them too. Most learners focus too much on words and not enough on frames. They learn the word important, but they do not train it is important too. They learn the word difficult, but they do not train it is difficult for me too. They learn the word improve, but they do not train I want to improve, or the best way to improve is. This is why the words stay trapped. The learner knows them, but the words do not come out because they do not have sentence homes. A sentence frame gives a word a home. It gives your vocabulary a place to live. It gives your grammar a way to move. It gives your mouth a starting point. Without frames, your English becomes a box of separate tools. With frames, those tools become a working machine. This is why the English sentence engine is built around frames. Frames turn knowledge into speaking. The first type of frame you must train is the opinion frame. Opinion frames help you answer questions quickly because real conversations often ask what you think. If someone asks, "Do you like learning English?" or "What do you think about this method?" or "Is speaking English difficult?" you need a quick beginning. You need a frame that opens your mouth before fear closes it. Train frames like "I think," "In my opinion," "The way I see it," "I believe," "To me," "From my point of view." These frames help you begin, and beginning is powerful because the hardest part of speaking is often the first few words. Once the first few words come out, the next words become easier. For example, if someone asks, "Why is English speaking hard?" you can begin with, "I think English speaking is hard because learners translate too much." That is already a complete answer. You can make it longer by adding, "In my opinion, the biggest problem is not vocabulary. The biggest problem is that learners do not have automatic sentence patterns." Now you are speaking with structure. You are not lost. The frame helped your thought become language. The second type is the explanation frame. Explanation frames help you speak longer. Many learners can give short answers, but then they stop because they do not know how to explain. They say, "Yes, I agree," and then silence comes. Or they say, "English is difficult," and then they stop. Explanation frames help you continue. Train frames like, "The reason is, this means that. What I mean is, what I'm trying to say is." The main point is, in other words, these frames help your mind organize thoughts. They give you time, they make your speech clearer, they allow you to explain ideas instead of only giving short answers. For example, you can say English speaking is difficult. The reason is that many learners know words, but they cannot arrange them quickly. What I mean is, they have English inside their mind, but they do not have a fast sentence system. This is not complicated English, but it is powerful because it flows, it explains, it continues, it communicates. The third type is the example frame. Examples make your speaking stronger because they help people understand your point. Without examples, your English may sound general. With examples, your English becomes clear and real. Train frames like, for example. For instance, one example is, a good example is, let me give you an example. These frames are very useful because they help you continue when your answer feels too short. For example, you can say many learners translate too much. For example, when someone asks them a simple question, they first create the answer in their own language, then they try to change it into English. That is why their answer comes late. Now your idea is clearer. The example makes the message real. The fourth type is the problem frame. Problem frames help you describe difficulty. This is important because learners often need to talk about what is hard for them. Instead of saying only English is hard, you can use frames that make your answer more specific. Train frames like, the problem is, the hardest part is, one issue is, what makes it difficult is, I struggle with, I find it hard too. These frames help you explain your weakness without feeling lost. For example, the hardest part is making sentences quickly. What makes it difficult is that I try to translate everything. I struggle with speaking when I feel pressure. These sentences are simple, but they are honest and useful. They help you express your real learning experience. The fifth type is the solution frame. Solution frames make your English sound confident and helpful. They allow you to move from problem to answer. If you can only describe problems, your speech feels weak. If you can also explain solutions, your speech becomes stronger. Train frames like, the best way to fix this is, one solution is, what helped me was, if you want to improve, you need to, the key is. These frames help you give advice and explain methods. For example, the best way to fix this is to train sentence frames daily. One solution is to repeat useful patterns until they become automatic. What helped me was speaking with simple frames instead of waiting for perfect sentences. This type of speaking sounds powerful because it gives direction. The sixth type is the experience frame. Experience frames help you speak personally. English becomes more natural when you connect it with your own life. Many learners can talk about grammar, but they struggle to talk about themselves. Experience frames fix that. Train frames like, in my experience. I have noticed that. I used to. I have been trying to. One thing I learned is, I remember when. These frames help you tell your own story. For example, I used to translate every sentence before speaking. I have noticed that my English becomes faster when I repeat sentence frames. One thing I learned is that confidence comes from practice, not waiting. These frames make your English human. They make your speaking feel real. The seventh type is the connector frame. Connector frames are the bridges of English speaking. They help you connect one sentence to another. Without connectors, your English may sound broken. With connectors, your ideas begin to flow. Train frames and words like because, so, but, and that's why, at the same time, on the other hand, as a result, this is why, these connectors are simple, but they make your speaking longer and smoother. For example, instead of saying, I want to speak English, I feel nervous, I practice daily, you can say, I want to speak English, but I feel nervous when I make mistakes. So I practice daily because I want to become more confident. Now the ideas are connected, the sentence has flow. This is how small English becomes stronger English. Now the question is, how do you train sentence frames correctly? Do not only read them, do not only write them in your notebook. Do not only say, "Yes, I know this." Knowing a frame is not enough. You must make it automatic. A frame becomes automatic when your mouth can use it without searching, and your brain can fill it with different ideas quickly. Use the first practice, frame repetition. Choose one frame and repeat it aloud. For example, "I think." Say it many times, then add ideas. "I think English is important." "I think speaking needs practice." "I think translation makes learners slow." "I think sentence frames help confidence." This practice may look simple, but it teaches your mouth to begin quickly. Use the second practice, frame substitution. Keep the same frame, but change one part. For example, "It is difficult for me to" say, "It is difficult for me to speak fast." "It is difficult for me to answer quickly." "It is difficult for me to stop translating." "It is difficult for me to remember words under pressure." This trains flexibility. Your brain learns that one frame can carry many meanings. Use the third practice, frame expansion. Start with a short sentence and make it longer using frames. "I want to improve my English." Add a reason. "I want to improve my English because I want to speak confidently." Add an example. For example, "I want to answer questions without freezing." Add a result. That's why I practice sentence frames every day. Now you have a strong speaking paragraph. This is how your sentence engine grows. You begin with a frame, you add meaning, you connect ideas, you speak longer, you repeat until the pattern becomes natural. Many learners think this kind of practice is too simple, but simple practice done deeply creates powerful results. The problem is not that learners need complicated methods. The problem is that they ignore the simple methods that actually train the mouth. A sentence frame repeated aloud every day can do more for your speaking than a difficult grammar rule you understand but never use. Your brain needs repetition because speaking is not only knowledge. Speaking is speed. Speaking is movement. Speaking is reaction. Speaking is confidence under pressure. If you only understand frames but never train them aloud, they may not appear when you need them. Under pressure, your brain uses what is automatic, not what is newly learned. This is why repetition matters. When a sentence frame becomes automatic, your mind feels safer. You do not face silence with fear because you have a place to start. If someone asks your opinion, your brain opens, "I think." If someone asks why, your brain opens. The reason is, if you need to explain, your brain opens. What I mean is, if you need to give an example, your brain opens. For example, these openings create confidence. This confidence is not fake. It comes from training. You are not telling yourself, "Be confident," without a reason. You are giving your brain tools. A learner with tools feels stronger than a learner with only hope. Sentence frames are speaking tools. The more tools you train, the more confident you become. But remember, sentence frames are not meant to make you sound robotic. They are meant to free your mind. At first you may repeat them like training. That is normal. Later, they become natural. The goal is not to say the same sentences every time. The goal is to use the same structures with different meanings. That is real flexibility. Think about music. A musician practices scales again and again. At first, it may feel repetitive, but later those scales help the musician create beautiful music. Sentence frames are like language scales. At first, you repeat them. Later, you use them freely. The repetition does not limit you. It prepares you. This is why you should not be ashamed of practicing basic frames. Even advanced speakers use basic frames. They say, "I think." The reason is, for example, "What I mean is." The difference is that they use them smoothly and naturally. Your goal is to make these frames smooth in your own mouth. Now imagine what happens after 30 days of frame training. You practice 5 frames daily. You create 10 sentences from each frame. You speak for 1 minute using those frames. After 30 days, your brain has repeated hundreds of sentence patterns. Your mouth has started hundreds of English sentences. Your mind has learned that English can begin without translation. This is not small. This is the beginning of automatic speaking. After 90 days, your sentence engine becomes much stronger. You may still make mistakes, but you will not freeze the same way. You will have more openings, more connectors, more explanation patterns, more confidence. You will begin to feel that English sentences are not impossible. They are trainable, they are buildable, they are repeatable. This is the mindset you must carry. Every sentence frame is a road. Every repetition builds the road stronger. Every spoken example teaches your brain to move faster. Every frame you use in real speech becomes part of your English identity. Do not wait for your brain to magically create sentences. Train it. Do not wait for confidence to arrive before speaking. Use frames to create confidence. Do not wait until you know every word. Put the words you already know into frames and speak today. At the end of this chapter, remember this golden rule. Sentence frames turn thoughts into speech. Without frames, thoughts remain trapped. With frames, thoughts find a path. If you want sentences to come fast, train the frames that make them move. Your English sentence engine is not built by wishing. It is built by repeated structures. It is built by useful patterns. It is built by speaking aloud. It is built by starting, continuing, expanding, and repeating. And the more you train sentence frames, the more your mind will stop freezing and start speaking. So choose one frame today, say it aloud, fill it with your own ideas, repeat it until your mouth trusts it. Then choose another frame tomorrow. Build road after road inside your mind. One day when someone asks you a question in English, your brain will not stand in silence. It will open a frame, start the sentence, and let your English move. Chapter 4. Stop translating ideas and start thinking in patterns. The reason many English learners speak slowly is not only because they do not know enough words, it is because they begin in the wrong place. They start from their own language, build the idea there, and then try to carry that idea into English. This may feel natural because your first language is comfortable, but for speaking English, this habit becomes a heavy chain. Every time you translate, your brain has to do extra work. It must understand the idea, change the order, search for English words, check the grammar, and then push the sentence out through your mouth. That is why your English comes late. Translation is not always bad when you are learning a new word or checking meaning, but translation becomes dangerous when you use it during real speaking. Speaking happens in real time. A conversation does not wait for your mind to finish building a sentence in another language. When someone asks you a question, you need a response that can begin quickly. If your brain first runs back to your first language, English will always arrive second, and when English arrives second, your confidence becomes weak. This is why many learners feel that English is inside them but locked. They have the meaning, they know what they want to say, but the sentence cannot come out because it is stuck at the translation gate. The idea is ready in the first language, but the English structure is not ready. The brain keeps asking, how do I say this exactly in English? And that question creates pressure. A better question is, which English pattern can carry this idea? That question opens the sentence engine. Thinking in English does not mean you suddenly start having deep, perfect English thoughts all day. It does not mean you forget your own language. It does not mean every sentence in your mind becomes advanced. Thinking in English begins much more simply. It begins when your brain chooses an English pattern first, instead of creating the whole idea in another language first. It begins when your mind says, I think, and then adds the idea. It begins when your mind says, the reason is, and then explains. It begins when your mind says, what I mean is, and then continues. This is pattern thinking. Pattern thinking is faster than translation because it starts inside English. It gives your brain a ready shape. Instead of carrying a full sentence from one language to another, you open an English frame and let your idea enter it. The frame controls the order. The frame gives the grammar. The frame gives the beginning. Your mind does not have to build everything from zero. It only fills the pattern. For example, imagine someone asks, Why do you want to speak English fluently? If you translate from your first language, your mind may become slow because you are trying to convert a personal idea into perfect English. But if you think in patterns, you can start immediately. The reason I want to speak English fluently is, now the road is open, you can continue, because I want to express my ideas clearly and connect with more people. This sentence may not be the most advanced sentence in the world, but it is clear, natural, and alive. Most importantly, it moves. Movement is the goal. A silent, perfect sentence helps no one. A simple, moving sentence builds confidence. The more your sentences move, the stronger your English becomes. Translation stops movement because it makes your brain check too much. Pattern thinking creates movement because it gives your brain permission to start. Look at the difference. Translation asks, what is the exact English version of my sentence? Pattern thinking asks, can I begin with I think? The reason is one thing I noticed, or what helped me was. Translation searches for perfection. Pattern thinking searches for movement. Translation makes your brain late. Pattern thinking makes your sentence begin. This is why fluent speakers sound natural. They are not translating every idea from another language. Their minds are moving through familiar patterns. When they explain, they often use patterns like, the reason is, what I'm saying is, the point is, for example. That's why they may not notice these patterns because they are automatic, but those patterns are always working under the surface. Fluent speech is not random. It is organized by repeated structures. Your goal is to build those repeated structures inside your own mind. Many learners make the mistake of trying to think in English by forcing themselves to create full, original sentences all day. They look at everything and try to describe it perfectly. At first, this becomes tiring, then they stop. The better method is to think with frames. Do not demand complete fluency from your mind immediately. Give it small patterns. I need to, I want to, I'm going to, I feel, I think, this is, that means. These basic patterns are not childish. They are the beginning of direct English thinking. If you are drinking tea, think, I'm drinking tea. If you are opening your laptop, think, I'm opening my laptop. If you feel tired, think, I feel tired. If you need practice, think, I need to practice. These small sentences teach your brain to connect real life with English directly. They may look simple, but they weaken the translation habit. They tell your brain, we can use English directly for meaning. After that, grow the patterns. Instead of only I feel tired, say I feel tired because I worked a lot today. Instead of only I need to practice, say I need to practice because I want my sentences to come faster. Instead of only I want to speak, say I want to speak English without translating every sentence. This is how small English thoughts become stronger. Do not jump too fast. Your mind must learn to walk before it runs. Many learners try to think in advanced English too early, and then they feel frustrated. The goal is not to impress yourself with difficult sentences. The goal is to build direct English movement. Simple direct English is the foundation of faster speaking. The first training rule is this: think in English patterns, not in translated paragraphs. If your mind tries to create a long thought in your first language, stop and choose a frame. For example, if you want to explain a problem, start with the problem is. If you want to explain a solution, start with the best way to fix this is. If you want to talk about your experience, start with in my experience. If you want to share what you learned, start with one thing I learned is. These frames make English thinking easier because they reduce the size of the task. Without a frame, your brain sees a mountain. With a frame, your brain sees the first step. The second training rule is this: do not translate word order. Every language has its own rhythm. If you carry your first language order into English, your sentence may become unnatural or confusing. English has its own patterns, and your brain must learn to respect them. Sentence frames help with this because they already carry English order. When you say, it is difficult for me too, The order is already English. You only add the action. It is difficult for me to speak quickly. It is difficult for me to understand fast conversations. It is difficult for me to answer without translating. The frame protects the sentence from broken translation. The third training rule is this: use meaning, not exact translation. Sometimes learners get stuck because they want to say the exact sentence from their own language in English, but English may express the same idea differently. Your goal is not to translate the exact words. Your goal is to communicate the meaning. If the meaning is clear, the sentence is successful. For example, your first language thought may be long and emotional, but in English you can begin simply, "I feel nervous when I speak because I'm afraid of mistakes." That may not match every word of your original thought, but it carries the meaning. Meaning is more important than exact translation. Communication is more important than perfect conversion. This truth can free you. You do not need to carry every word across the bridge. Carry the meaning. Use an English pattern. Speak clearly. Continue. The fourth training rule is this: make English thoughts from your daily life. Do not wait for a classroom. Do not wait for a teacher. Do not wait for someone to ask you questions. Your daily life is full of speaking material. When you wake up, think, "Today I want to improve one thing." When you make a mistake, think, "One mistake I made was." When you learn something, think, "One thing I learned today is." When you feel nervous, think, "I feel nervous because." Your life becomes your English training ground. This is powerful because English becomes connected with your real world. It is no longer only a subject in a lesson. It becomes a voice inside your day. The more English connects with your life, the more naturally it appears when you speak. The fifth training rule is this: repeat the same patterns until they become mental habits. Thinking in English does not happen because you try once. It happens because you repeatedly choose English patterns. At first, your brain will return to translation because translation is familiar. Do not fight your brain with anger. Just guide it back. Choose a frame again. Speak or think the sentence again. Over time, the English road becomes stronger. Your brain follows the road it uses most. If you translate every day, translation becomes stronger. If you use English patterns every day, English thinking becomes stronger. This is not motivation, this is training. Every sentence is a vote. A translated sentence votes for old habits. A pattern-based English sentence votes for your new sentence engine. Now let us train with a real example. Topic: speaking English. A translation habit may create pressure because you want to say a lot. Pattern thinking makes it simple. Start with "I think." Say, "I think speaking English becomes easier when I practice daily." Now add, "The reason is." Say, "The reason is that my brain needs repetition." Now add, "For example." Say, "For example, when I repeat sentence frames, my mouth becomes faster." Now add, "That's why." Say, "That's why I need to train my sentence engine every day." Look what happened. You created a full answer without translating a full paragraph. You used patterns. Your mind moved step by step. This is exactly how you must train. Now another topic: fear. Start with "I feel nervous when I speak English." Add "because." Say, "Because I am afraid of making mistakes." Add "but I know." Say, "But I know mistakes are part of learning." Add "that's why." Say, "That's why I practice speaking even when I am not perfect." Again, the answer is clear. The frames carried the meaning. Now another topic: listening. Start with "One thing I noticed is." Say, "One thing I noticed is that listening helps my speaking." Add "this means that." Say, "This means that my ear teaches my mouth how English sounds." Add "for example." Say, "For example, when I hear the same phrase many times, I can say it more naturally." Add "so." Say, "So listening and speaking should be trained together." This is pattern thinking in action. You can use this method for any topic: English learning, work, family, confidence, habits, future plans, problems, goals, mistakes, memories, advice, opinions. You do not need a new method for every topic. You need flexible patterns that can carry many topics. This is why sentence frames are so powerful. They multiply your speaking ability. Many learners think in English means never use your first language again. That is not realistic, and it creates unnecessary stress. Your first language is part of you. The goal is not to hate it. The goal is to stop depending on it during speaking. You can use it to learn meaning when needed, but when speaking practice begins, return to English patterns. Use your first language as a helper, not as the driver. English must drive when you are speaking English. This is an important difference. If your first language is always the driver, English sits in the back seat and waits. That is why your speech is delayed. But when English patterns become the driver, your ideas move directly through English roads. Your first language may still be there, but it no longer controls every sentence. You must also understand that thinking in patterns improves grammar naturally. When you repeat correct frames, your brain absorbs grammar inside use. You do not need to stop before every sentence and ask, "Is this grammar correct?" The frame already gives you a correct structure. If you repeat, "It is difficult for me to," many times, your brain learns that pattern. If you repeat, "I have been trying to," many times, your brain learns that structure. If you repeat, "The reason I believe this is," many times, your brain learns that shape. This is how grammar becomes automatic. Not by ignoring rules, but by repeating useful structures until they feel natural. A rule explains, a pattern trains. You need both. But speaking depends more on trained patterns than on memorized rules. Pattern thinking also improves confidence because it reduces the fear of the blank mind. The blank mind is one of the scariest feelings in English speaking. You want to answer, but nothing appears. Sentence frames remove that blankness. Even if your idea is not complete, you can begin. I think, the main reason is, what I want to say is. These openings give your brain a place to stand. Confidence often begins with one safe first step. A sentence frame is that step. Some learners think they must speak very fast to be fluent. But speed without structure creates messy English. Pattern thinking gives you structure first, then speed grows naturally. When frames become automatic, you will begin faster. When connectors become automatic, you will continue better. When expansion frames become automatic, you will speak longer. Speed is the result of trained structure, not forced rushing. Do not force your mouth to run before your patterns can walk. Train the frames, use them daily. Speed will come. Another powerful practice is the three-frame answer. Whenever you practice speaking, answer with 3 frames. For example, if the question is, "Why is English difficult?" use 3 frames. I think, the reason is. For example, your answer becomes, "I think English is difficult because learners try to translate too much." The reason is that translation makes the brain slow. For example, when someone asks a question, the learner knows the answer but cannot say it quickly. This answer is strong because it has structure. If the question is, "How can learners improve?" use, "The best way is, what helped me was." That's why your answer becomes, "The best way is to practice sentence frames every day. What helped me was," repeating simple patterns aloud. That's why I believe speaking practice should be daily. Again, simple but powerful. This practice trains your brain to think in English groups. It no longer waits for translation. It chooses frames and builds. You can also use pattern thinking while listening. When you hear English, notice sentence frames. Do not only listen for new words, listen for structures. When someone says, "The problem is," notice it. When someone says, "What I mean is," notice it. When someone says, "That's why," notice it. These are tools. Steal them, repeat them, use them. Every time you hear a useful frame, you have found a new road for your engine. This is how listening feeds speaking. You hear a frame, you repeat it, you use it, and it becomes part of you. English becomes easier when you stop seeing sentences as random and start seeing them as patterns. Your notebook should also change. Do not only write vocabulary lists, write pattern lists, write frames with examples. Instead of writing only improve, write I want to improve and create 5 sentences. Instead of writing only confident, write I feel confident when and create 5 sentences. Instead of writing only mistake, write one mistake I made was and create 5 sentences. This makes your notebook alive. A dead notebook stores words. A living notebook trains speech. But do not let your notebook replace your voice. After writing, speak. Say the frames aloud. Use them in short speeches. Record yourself. Listen again. Repeat. The mouth must practice because speaking is physical. Your mind may understand the pattern, but your mouth needs to feel it. The sentence engine is built in the brain and the mouth together. Another exercise is pattern walking. When you walk, choose one frame and create sentences in your mind or aloud softly. Frame: I need to. Say, I need to practice today. I need to speak more. I need to repeat sentence frames. I need to stop translating. Then choose another frame. I have noticed that. Say, I have noticed that repetition helps. I have noticed that fear becomes smaller when I speak daily. This turns normal walking time into sentence engine training. Another exercise is pattern response. Ask yourself simple questions and answer using a frame immediately. What do you want? I want to speak English naturally. What is difficult? The hardest part is answering quickly. What helped you? One thing that helped me was practicing frames. This trains fast response without translation. Another exercise is pattern replacement. When your mind creates a sentence in your first language, do not translate it word by word. Pause and choose an English pattern. If the meaning is a reason, use the reason is. If the meaning is a problem, use the problem is. If the meaning is a feeling, use I feel. If the meaning is advice, use the best way is. Over time, your brain will begin choosing English patterns more quickly. This is how you slowly move from translation to direct English thinking, not through pressure, but through repeated replacement. There is one more truth. You will still translate sometimes. That is normal. Do not become angry. Do not think you failed. The old habit will not disappear in one day, but every time you notice it, gently return to the pattern. Awareness is progress. If you can notice translation, you can change it. If you can choose a frame after noticing it, you are already training the new system. Be patient with your brain. It learned translation because translation helped you in the beginning, but now you are moving to a higher level. At the beginning, translation may help you understand, but for speaking fluency, direct patterns must become stronger. Thank the old method, but do not let it control your future. This chapter is not telling you to think in perfect English immediately. It is teaching you how to start. Start with small patterns. Repeat them. Use them for your daily life. Speak them aloud. Connect them, expand them, review them. Over time, your mind will begin to feel English differently. Sentences will stop feeling like puzzles. They will begin to feel like roads. And when your mind has roads, your mouth can move. At the end of this chapter, remember this golden rule. Translation asks your brain to convert. Patterns teach your brain to create. Conversion is slow. Creation is alive. If you want your sentences to come fast, stop carrying every thought through translation and start building your thoughts inside English patterns. Your first language may give you the idea, but English patterns must give it shape. Your meaning may begin as a feeling, but the frame must turn it into speech. Your confidence may be weak now, but every pattern you train gives it strength. One frame today, one spoken sentence today, one direct English thought today. This is how the sentence engine grows. Do not wait until your mind thinks in perfect English. Train it with patterns until English thinking becomes possible. Do not wait until translation disappears by itself. Replace it every day with English frames. Do not wait for sentences to come fast by magic. Build the roads that make them fast, because the moment your brain stops translating and starts thinking in patterns, English will no longer feel like something you are carrying from far away. It will begin to feel like something being built inside you, sentence by sentence, frame by frame, until your voice finally has a road to follow. Chapter 5. Build sentence speed with repetition and substitution. Sentence speed does not come from forcing your mouth to speak faster. It comes from training your brain to build sentences with less hesitation. Many learners think fast speaking means pushing words out quickly. But if the sentence is not ready inside your mind, speed becomes pressure. You may speak faster for 2 seconds, but then you stop, freeze, correct yourself, translate again, and lose confidence. Real sentence speed is not rushed English. Real sentence speed is automatic English. A fluent speaker does not become fast by panicking. A fluent speaker becomes fast because the patterns are familiar. The brain has repeated the same sentence roads so many times that it can enter them quickly. When the structure is familiar, the sentence moves. When the structure is unfamiliar, the sentence stops. This is why repetition is not boring for serious learners. Repetition is how slow English becomes automatic English. You must understand this clearly. Your brain cannot use a pattern quickly if it has only seen it once. A sentence frame that you read one time is not ready for conversation. A phrase that you heard once in a video is not ready under pressure. A grammar structure that you understood in a lesson is not automatically ready for speaking. Under pressure, your brain does not use what you kind of know. It uses what has been repeated enough to feel safe. This is why some learners know English but still speak slowly. Their knowledge is not automatic. They recognize the sentence when someone else says it, but they cannot produce it quickly themselves. Recognition is easier than production. You may understand, I have been trying to improve my speaking, but when you want to say it yourself, your brain may freeze because the pattern is not active in your mouth yet. You have seen it, but you have not trained it. Repetition activates the pattern. When you repeat a useful frame many times, your brain begins to trust it. When you create many sentences with the same frame, your brain begins to understand how flexible it is. When you say those sentences aloud, your mouth begins to feel the rhythm. When you use the frame in your own speaking, it begins to become yours. This is the process. This is how your sentence engine gets faster. One of the most powerful tools for building sentence speed is substitution. Substitution means you keep the same sentence frame, but you change one part of the sentence again and again. This may look simple, but it is one of the fastest ways to teach your brain how English sentences work. You are not memorizing one sentence like a robot. You are training a structure to create many sentences. For example, take the frame, I want to improve, now keep the beginning and change the ending. I want to improve my speaking. I want to improve my listening. I want to improve my sentence speed. I want to improve my confidence. I want to improve my fluency. I want to improve my English thinking. One frame has created many useful sentences. Your brain is learning the road and your ideas are learning how to travel on it. Now take the frame. It is difficult for me to, again, keep the frame and change the ending. It is difficult for me to speak fast. It is difficult for me to answer quickly. It is difficult for me to stop translating. It is difficult for me to remember words during conversation. It is difficult for me to speak when I feel nervous. It is difficult for me to make long sentences. It is difficult for me to understand fast questions. This practice trains your brain to describe problems quickly. Now take the frame, I feel confident when, say, I feel confident when I practice daily. I feel confident when I know the topic. I feel confident when I use simple sentence frames. I feel confident when I stop worrying about mistakes. I feel confident when I repeat useful patterns. I feel confident when I can start my answer quickly. I feel confident when I speak even with small mistakes. This practice trains your brain to connect feelings with reasons. Substitution builds speed because the brain does not need to rebuild the full sentence every time. It learns that the frame stays stable while the idea changes. This creates flexibility. Flexibility is the real sign of a strong sentence engine. You do not want to memorize one perfect sentence. You want one pattern that can produce 50 sentences. This is what many learners miss. They memorize sentences, but they do not understand the pattern inside the sentence. So when the situation changes, they cannot adapt. They can say one memorized line, but they cannot create a new line. Substitution solves this because it teaches your brain how to change parts while keeping the structure. That is how language becomes usable. For example, if you memorize only "I want to improve my English," that sentence is useful but limited. But if you train the pattern "I want to improve," you can say many things. I want to improve my accent. I want to improve my vocabulary. I want to improve the way I explain ideas. I want to improve how fast I answer. The pattern gives you power beyond one sentence. A strong sentence engine is not built from memorized lines only. It is built from flexible patterns. Now let us go deeper. Substitution practice also trains grammar without making grammar feel heavy. When you repeat "it is difficult for me too" many times, you are practicing an important English structure. You are learning adjective plus for me plus infinitive, but you are not sitting there thinking about grammar terminology. You are using the structure. You are making it active. Active grammar is the grammar your mouth can use. Passive grammar is the grammar your mind understands but your mouth cannot produce under pressure. Most learners have too much passive grammar. They know rules, but they cannot use them quickly. They can answer grammar exercises, but they cannot speak naturally. This happens because exercises often give you time, but speaking does not. To use grammar in speech, you must repeat grammar inside real sentence frames until the mouth can produce it automatically. Substitution turns grammar into movement. Take the frame, "I have been trying to." This frame trains a very useful structure. Now substitute endings. I have been trying to speak more. I have been trying to stop translating. I have been trying to improve my listening. I have been trying to build better sentence habits. I have been trying to practice every day. With repetition, this structure becomes easier. Later, when you need it in conversation, it can appear faster because you trained it aloud. Take another frame. If I practice every day, I will. Say, if I practice every day, I will speak better. If I practice every day, I will become more confident. If I practice every day, I will stop freezing. If I practice every day, I will build automatic sentences. This trains conditionals in a useful way. You are not only understanding the rule, you are speaking the pattern. Take another frame, I used to. Say, I used to translate everything. I used to feel nervous. I used to avoid speaking. I used to wait for perfect grammar. I used to think my English was weak. This trains past habit. It is simple, powerful, and useful. If you repeat this frame enough, it becomes easy to talk about your past. This is how grammar becomes your friend. You stop treating grammar as a wall, and you start treating it as a pattern road. Grammar should not freeze your mouth. Grammar should guide your sentence. When grammar is trained through frames, it becomes lighter. Now, repetition and substitution must be done aloud. This is very important. Many learners practice only in their mind and think that is enough. Mental practice can help, but speaking requires the mouth. Your tongue, lips, jaw, breath, and voice must experience the sentence. If your mouth has never practiced the pattern, it may not come out smoothly in real conversation. Speaking English is not only a thinking skill, it is also a physical skill. You cannot become a good speaker with a silent mouth forever. You must let English pass through your voice. Even if you speak alone, even if you speak quietly, even if your sentences are simple, your mouth needs repetition, your voice needs practice. Your brain needs to hear you producing English. This is how English becomes active. A sentence repeated silently is a thought. A sentence spoken aloud becomes training. Use the 10-sentence drill every day. Choose one frame and create 10 spoken sentences from it. Do not write first. Do not translate first. Speak directly. If you make a mistake, continue. The goal is not perfection. The goal is movement. After 10 sentences, repeat the best ones again. This teaches your brain to produce language under light pressure. For example, frame, one thing I noticed is. Now speak 10 sentences. One thing I noticed is that English becomes easier with repetition. One thing I noticed is that I speak slower when I translate. One thing I noticed is that simple frames help me start. One thing I noticed is that fear becomes smaller when I practice. One thing I noticed is that my mouth needs daily training. This drill builds sentence speed because your brain must keep producing English through one frame. At first, 10 sentences may feel difficult. You may repeat the same idea. You may pause. You may search for words. That is okay. The goal is to train the engine. A weak engine does not become strong without pressure, but the pressure must be safe. The 10-sentence drill creates safe pressure because you are alone, using one frame and practicing movement. Another strong practice is the substitution ladder. Start with a short sentence and climb slowly. For example, I want to speak, then add more. I want to speak English, then more. I want to speak English confidently, then more. I want to speak English confidently without translating, then more. I want to speak English confidently without translating every sentence in my mind. This ladder teaches your brain how to expand sentences step by step. Now create another ladder. I practice. I practice daily. I practice daily because I want fluency. I practice daily because I want fluency and confidence. I practice daily because I want fluency and confidence in real conversations. This trains sentence growth. Many learners cannot speak longer because they do not know how to expand. Ladders teach expansion. Another practice is the replacement drill. Choose one part of the sentence and replace it quickly. Sentence: I feel nervous when I speak English. Replace nervous. I feel confident when I speak English. I feel excited when I speak English. I feel relaxed when I speak English. Now replace the ending. I feel nervous when I answer questions. I feel nervous when I talk to strangers. I feel nervous when I make mistakes. This helps your brain become flexible with both vocabulary and structure. Flexibility is essential because real conversation is unpredictable. You cannot memorize every possible answer, but you can train patterns that adapt. If your patterns are flexible, you can respond to many situations. If your patterns are rigid, you will freeze when the conversation changes. This is why substitution is more powerful than memorization alone. Memorization gives you one answer. Substitution gives you a system for creating answers. Now let us talk about speed. When you begin substitution practice, do not rush. First, train accuracy and comfort. Say the sentence clearly, feel the structure. Use correct rhythm. After the frame becomes familiar, increase speed naturally. Speed should come from familiarity, not panic. If you force speed too early, your grammar may break and your confidence may drop. But if you repeat the pattern deeply, speed will come by itself. Think about typing. At first you type slowly because your fingers do not know the keys. If you try to type fast too early, you make many mistakes. But after repeating the same finger movements, speed increases naturally. Speaking is similar. Your mouth must learn sentence movements. Repetition teaches the movement. Familiarity creates speed. Do not confuse fast English with good English. Fast but broken English is not the goal. Smooth, clear, automatic English is the goal. Sometimes a slower, clear sentence is more powerful than a fast, messy sentence. The purpose of sentence speed is not to sound rushed. The purpose is to reduce freezing, reduce translation, and make your response more natural. A strong speaker can speak at a natural speed because the sentence patterns are ready. They can slow down when needed, explain clearly, and continue without panic. That is what you want. You want control, not chaos. Repetition gives control. The more you repeat a frame, the less mental energy it takes. When a frame is new, it consumes attention. You think about every word, but after repetition, the frame becomes automatic and your attention is free for meaning. This is very important. If your brain spends all its energy on structure, you cannot focus on your idea. But if structure is automatic, your brain can focus on what you really want to say. For example, if the reason is automatic, you do not think about those words, you only think about the reason. If I have noticed that is automatic, you do not struggle with the beginning, you focus on what you noticed. If the best way to improve is automatic, you can focus on the solution. Automatic frames create mental space. Mental space creates confidence. Many learners feel nervous because their brain is overloaded. They are thinking about grammar, words, pronunciation, translation, and mistakes all at once. Repetition reduces overload. It makes some parts automatic, so the brain has fewer things to manage. This is why trained patterns feel calming. They give your mind something familiar to hold. Now understand this golden point. Confidence is often a memory of successful repetition. If your brain has repeated a pattern many times, it trusts that pattern. If your mouth has said a phrase many times, it feels safe saying it again. This safety becomes confidence. Confidence is not only emotion, confidence is trained familiarity. This is why learners who practice daily feel more confident than learners who only wait for motivation. Motivation says, you can do it. Repetition gives proof. Proof is stronger than motivation. When your mouth has already said 50 sentences with one frame, it believes it can say one more. That belief is real. To build sentence speed, you must also practice under small time pressure. Not too much pressure, because too much pressure creates panic. But small pressure is useful because real speaking has time pressure. The 3-second response drill is powerful. Ask yourself a question and begin within 3 seconds using a frame. Question: why do you learn English? Start: the reason I learn English is. Question: what is difficult for you? Start: the hardest part for me is. Question: how can learners improve? Start: the best way to improve is. This trains the beginning of speech. Do not worry if the full answer is not ready. Start with the frame. The frame gives your brain time to continue. This is how real speaking often works. You begin with a structure, then the idea develops. Waiting for the full sentence before speaking creates long silence. Starting with a frame creates movement. Another time pressure practice is the 1-minute substitution challenge. Choose one frame and speak as many correct sentences as possible in 1 minute. For example, I want to speak better. I want to understand movies. I want to answer quickly. I want to build confidence. I want to stop translating. This trains speed and flexibility. At first, you may only make 5 sentences, later 10, then 15. This shows progress. But remember, quality matters. Do not produce nonsense just to be fast. Make real sentences, clear sentences, useful sentences. Speed should serve communication. Another powerful drill is the topic-frame combination. Choose one topic and one frame. Topic: English learning. Frame: one problem is, speak several sentences. One problem is translation. One problem is fear of mistakes. One problem is lack of speaking practice. Now choose another topic: daily routine. Same frame. One problem is waking up late. One problem is wasting time. One problem is not staying consistent. This teaches your brain to use the same frame across topics. This is important because fluency requires transfer. A pattern should not only work in one topic, it should move across many topics. If you can use one problem is for English, work, health, study, and life, the frame is becoming flexible. Flexible frames become powerful speaking tools. Now let us explore substitution with connectors. Connectors are the muscles of long speaking. Use frames like because, so, but, for example, and that's why. Start with a basic sentence. I practice English. Add because. I practice English because I want to speak fluently. Add but. I practice English, but sometimes I feel nervous. Add so. I practice English every day so my sentence speed can improve. Add for example. For example, I repeat sentence frames every morning. Add that's why. That's why I believe repetition is important. This practice teaches your brain to continue. Many learners can start a sentence, but they cannot continue. Connectors solve this. They help your sentence grow into speaking flow. A powerful daily drill is the because chain. Start with one sentence and add reasons. I want to speak English. Why? Because I want confidence. Why? Because confidence helps me communicate. Why? Because communication gives me more opportunities. This trains your brain to explain deeper. Another drill is the for example chain. Make a point, then give examples. Sentence frames help speaking. For example, they help me start faster. For example, they reduce translation. For example, they make grammar easier to use. This helps you speak longer and clearer. Another drill is the that's why finish. Say a problem and finish with a result. I translate too much, and that's why my sentences come slowly. I do not repeat patterns enough, and that's why I freeze. I practice frames daily, and that's why my English is improving. This trains cause and effect. These drills may seem simple, but they build deep speaking ability. Fluent speech is not only single sentences, it is connected thought. Repetition and substitution teach your brain to produce connected thought. Now you must be careful not to collect too many frames at once. Some learners become excited and gather hundreds of sentence frames. Then they use none. This creates confusion. A small number of frames trained deeply is better than a large list ignored. Choose 5 frames for the week. Practice them every day. Use them in different topics. Repeat them until they become easy. Then add more. Depth beats quantity. For 1 week, you might train these frames. I think. The reason is, it is difficult for me too. One thing I noticed is, the best way to improve is, these 5 frames can create hundreds of sentences. If you master them, your speaking will improve more than if you only read 50 frames without practice. The sentence engine grows through repeated use, not through collecting. You should also review old frames. A frame you do not use becomes weak. Review keeps the road open. Every day, spend a few minutes using frames from yesterday or last week. Speak 3 sentences with each old frame. This keeps them alive. If you only learn new frames and never review, your engine becomes full of forgotten parts. A strong engine needs maintenance. Review is not wasted time. Review is how patterns become permanent. Another important point is emotional repetition. Do not repeat sentences like a machine. Say them with meaning. If you say, I feel confident when I practice, feel confidence. If you say, it is difficult for me to speak fast, feel the difficulty. If you say the best way to improve is daily practice, say it like you believe it. Emotion helps memory. Emotion makes speaking more natural. Emotion trains your voice, not only your grammar. Real English is not robotic. It carries feeling. Your sentence speed should not become flat. It should become alive. Practice with tone. Practice with stress. Practice like you are speaking to a real person. This will help your English sound more natural. Substitution can also improve pronunciation because repeated frames train rhythm. When you say, I want to improve, many times, your mouth learns that rhythm. When you say, it is difficult for me too, many times, your mouth learns that movement. Rhythm helps fluency. If every sentence feels new, your mouth is stiff. If frames are familiar, your mouth becomes smoother. This is why speaking practice must include repeated sound, not only written exercises. Your mouth needs rhythm memory. Your voice needs sentence memory. The more you repeat useful frames aloud, the more your speaking begins to flow. Now let us connect this chapter to your real life. Imagine tomorrow someone asks you, why are you learning English? If you have not trained frames, you may freeze. But if you practiced substitution, your brain opens. The reason I'm learning English is, then you continue. The reason I'm learning English is that I want to speak confidently and understand people better. This answer comes faster because the frame was ready. Imagine someone asks, "What is hard for you?" Your brain opens. "The hardest part for me is," you say, "the hardest part for me is making sentences quickly without translating." Again, the frame saves you from silence. Imagine someone asks, "How do you practice?" Your brain opens. "One thing I do is," you say, "one thing I do is repeat sentence frames every day." Now you are speaking. The sentence is simple, but it moves, and moving English builds confidence. This is the real purpose of repetition and substitution. It prepares you for real moments. It trains your brain before the pressure arrives. It gives your mouth familiar roads. It turns practice into usable speech. Do not wait for conversation to train you. Train before conversation. Then conversation becomes easier. At the end of this chapter, remember this golden rule. Sentence speed is not born from rushing. It is born from repeated patterns. The sentence that feels slow today can become fast tomorrow if you repeat it enough. The frame that feels strange today can become natural next month if you use it daily. The grammar that feels difficult today can become automatic if you practice it inside real sentences. Your English sentence engine needs fuel. That fuel is repetition. It needs flexibility. That flexibility comes from substitution. It needs sound. That sound comes from speaking aloud. It needs confidence. That confidence comes from proof. So choose one frame today. Repeat it, change it, speak it, expand it, use it with different ideas. Then choose another frame tomorrow. Build speed one pattern at a time. Do not chase complicated English before your engine can move. Build the movement first. Build the automatic roads. Build the speaking habit. One day, the same sentence frame that feels slow now will come out of your mouth without effort. One day, you will answer a question and realize you did not translate first. One day, you will speak a full sentence and feel that English came from inside you, not from a dictionary, not from a grammar rule, not from panic, but from a trained engine. That is when sentences begin to come fast. Chapter 6. Turn small sentences into long speaking power. Many English learners have one common problem that quietly destroys their speaking confidence. They can say short sentences, but they cannot continue. They can say, "I like English," but they cannot explain why. They can say, "Speaking is difficult," but they cannot turn that sentence into a full answer. They can say, "I want to improve," but after that, silence comes. This is painful because the learner does not feel completely silent, but they also do not feel fluent. They can start, but they cannot flow. They can answer, but the answer dies too quickly. They can speak one line, but they cannot build a full thought. This is the difference between sentence ability and speaking power. Sentence ability means you can make one correct sentence. Speaking power means you can take one idea and expand it into clear, connected, confident English. Many learners stop at one sentence because they have never trained the skill of expansion. They think speaking longer means using difficult vocabulary, advanced grammar, or complicated expressions. But real speaking power often comes from a much simpler skill, learning how to connect small sentences into bigger ideas. A small sentence is not weak. A small sentence is the seed. But if you do not know how to grow the seed, it stays small. If you only say, "English is difficult," the listener understands one idea. But if you can say, "English is difficult because many learners translate too much," and when they translate, their brain becomes slow, so they need to train sentence frames until English comes automatically. Now you are speaking with power. The first sentence was a seed. The expanded version became a tree. This is what Chapter 6 will teach you. You are not going to throw away simple sentences. You are going to learn how to grow them. You are going to learn how to take one small idea and turn it into longer speaking. You are going to learn how connectors, reasons, examples, results, contrasts, and personal experience can make your English sound stronger, clearer, and more natural. This is where your sentence engine becomes more than fast, it becomes powerful. Many learners believe that long speaking is only for advanced students. This belief is wrong. Long speaking is not about using the most difficult words. Long speaking is about organizing simple ideas in a clear way. A learner with basic English but strong structure can often sound better than a learner with many advanced words but no flow. Why? Because communication is not only vocabulary, communication is movement. Your ideas must move from one sentence to another. If they do not move, your speaking stops. The first tool for turning small sentences into long speaking is because. This one word is extremely powerful because it adds a reason. A sentence without a reason is often too short. A sentence with a reason becomes stronger. For example, I want to improve my English is clear, but it is short. Add because. I want to improve my English because I want to speak with confidence. Now the sentence has more meaning. Add more. I want to improve my English because I want to speak with confidence in real conversations. Now it is stronger. Add one more idea. I want to improve my English because I want to speak with confidence in real conversations. Not only understand lessons. Now the sentence feels more real. This is how expansion begins. You do not need to create a completely new sentence from zero. You take one sentence and ask why. The answer to why gives you more English. If you say, I feel nervous, ask why. I feel nervous because I am afraid of making mistakes. If you say, I practice every day, ask why. I practice every day because I want my sentence engine to become faster. If you say, speaking English is hard, ask why. Speaking English is hard because my brain still tries to translate before I speak. This simple habit can make your speaking longer immediately. The second tool is for example. Reasons explain your idea, but examples make your idea clear. Many learners speak too generally. They say English is difficult, but the listener may not understand what kind of difficulty they mean. Is listening difficult? Speaking, grammar, pronunciation, confidence? Examples make your meaning visible. If you say English is difficult because I translate too much, add an example. For example, when someone asks me a simple question, I know the answer in my mind, but I cannot build the English sentence fast enough. Now the listener understands your real problem. Examples are powerful because they turn abstract English into real English. Confidence is important is true, but general. Confidence is important because when I feel confident, I can speak even if my sentence is not perfect is better. Add an example. For example, if someone asks me about my day, I can answer with simple English instead of staying silent. Now your English sounds natural and human. The third tool is that's why. This phrase helps you show a result or conclusion. It makes your speaking feel complete. For example, I translate too much, and that's why my sentences come slowly. I do not practice speaking daily, and that's why I freeze during conversation. I repeat sentence frames every morning, and that's why my English is becoming faster. This phrase connects cause and result. It helps you explain not only what happens, but why it matters. When you combine because, for example, and that's why, you can turn almost any short sentence into a strong speaking paragraph. Start with a small sentence. I need sentence frames. Add because. I need sentence frames because they help my brain start speaking faster. Add for example. For example, when I use the frame I think, I can begin my answer without translating the whole sentence. Add that's why. That's why sentence frames are important for learners who want to speak automatically. Now you have a complete idea. This is the expansion formula. Statement, reason, example, result. If you train this formula, your speaking will become longer very quickly. You do not need to memorize long speeches. You need to learn how to expand one idea. One clear idea can become 4 sentences. 4 sentences can become a full answer. A full answer can become real speaking confidence. Let us practice with the sentence, I want to speak English fluently. First, say the statement, I want to speak English fluently. Now add a reason. Because I want to express my ideas without fear. Now add an example. For example, when someone asks me a question, I want to answer naturally instead of translating in my mind. Now add a result. That's why I practice sentence frames every day. The full answer becomes, I want to speak English fluently because I want to express my ideas without fear. For example, when someone asks me a question, I want to answer naturally instead of translating in my mind. That's why I practice sentence frames every day. This is not complicated, but it is strong, clear, and useful. Now take another sentence. I feel nervous when I speak English. Add reason, because I am afraid of making mistakes. Add example. For example, I sometimes know the answer, but I stop myself because I think the grammar may be wrong. Add result. That's why I need to practice speaking with simple patterns until I feel more confident. Now you have a powerful learner answer. You are not just saying, I feel nervous. You are explaining the problem, giving an example, and showing the solution. This is how small English becomes speaking power. The 4th tool is but. This word helps you create contrast. Contrast makes your English more natural because real thoughts are not always one-sided. You may want to improve, but you feel nervous. You may understand lessons, but you cannot speak fast. You may know grammar, but you cannot use it automatically. When you use but, your answer becomes more realistic. For example, I know many English words, but I cannot use them quickly. This sentence is powerful because it shows a real learner problem. Expand it. I know many English words, but I cannot use them quickly because I have not trained enough sentence frames. For example, I may know the word confidence, but I do not automatically say I feel confident when. That's why I need to practice words inside sentence patterns. This is clear and strong. The 5th tool is so. This word helps you show consequence or action. I want to speak better, so I practice every day. I translate too much, so I train English patterns. My sentences come slowly, so I repeat useful frames aloud. The word so moves your idea forward. It helps you connect problem to action. Now compare 2 answers. Short answer, my English is slow. Expanded answer, my English is slow because I build sentences word by word, so I need to train sentence frames until they become automatic. The second answer has more power because it explains the cause and action. The 6th tool is at the same time. This phrase helps you add balance. For example, grammar is important, but at the same time, learners must practice speaking patterns. This sounds more mature than only saying grammar is important. It shows that you can hold 2 ideas together. Another example, I want to speak fast, but at the same time, I want to speak clearly. This is a strong sentence because it shows balance. The 7th tool is on the other hand. This phrase helps you compare 2 sides. For example, reading English gives you time to think. On the other hand, speaking English requires fast sentence building. This kind of sentence sounds more advanced because it organizes contrast. You can use it in many topics. Subtitles can help learners understand. On the other hand, too much subtitle dependence can make the ear weak. This is clear, mature, and useful. Now let us talk about one of the biggest problems learners have. They stop after 1 sentence because they do not know what to say next. The solution is to ask simple expansion questions inside your mind. After every sentence, ask, why? Can I give an example? What is the result? Is there another side? What did I experience? What should be done? These questions create more sentences. If you say sentence frames are useful, ask why, because they help learners start speaking faster. Ask for an example. For example, the frame, the reason is, helps you explain your answer. Ask for a result. That's why learners should repeat frames daily. Now your speaking continues. You did not need a new topic. You expanded the same topic. This is important because fluency is not always about having many ideas. Sometimes fluency is about expanding one idea clearly. A person who can explain one idea well sounds more fluent than a person who jumps between many disconnected ideas. Depth creates power. Many learners give short answers because they are afraid of making mistakes in long answers. They think, if I speak longer, I will make more mistakes. This may be true at first, but it is not a reason to stay silent. Longer speaking is a skill. You will make mistakes while training it. That is normal. If you only speak short sentences forever, your long speaking will never grow. The only way to speak longer is to practice speaking longer. Do not demand perfect long speaking from yourself in the beginning. Start with simple expansion. One sentence plus because. One sentence plus example. One sentence plus result. That is enough. Slowly, your answers will become longer and smoother. You do not jump from silence to advanced speeches in one day. You grow sentence by sentence. The next powerful method is the three-part answer. Whenever someone asks you a question, try to answer in 3 parts: opinion, reason, example. This structure works for many questions. If someone asks, "Is English speaking difficult?" you can say, "Yes, I think English speaking is difficult for many learners." The reason is that they try to translate every sentence before speaking. For example, they may know the answer, but they cannot say it fast because their brain is still arranging the words. This answer is clear and strong. If someone asks, "How can learners improve?" use opinion, reason, example. I think learners can improve by practicing sentence frames every day. The reason is that frames help the brain create sentences faster. For example, if a learner repeats "I think" with many different ideas, they can start opinions more quickly in real conversation. This sounds natural, helpful, and confident. The three-part answer is powerful because it gives your mind a structure. Many learners freeze because they do not know how to organize their answer. With this structure, you always know the next step. First, give your idea. Second, explain why. Third, give an example. This is enough for many real conversations. Another strong method is the 4-part answer: point, reason, example, conclusion. The conclusion can use "that's why." For example, "I believe sentence frames are very important. The reason is that they reduce the pressure of building sentences from zero." For example, if I use the frame "the problem is," I can explain my difficulty quickly. That's why I practice frames every day. This is a complete answer. It begins, explains, proves, and finishes. This structure can help you speak in exams, interviews, conversations, presentations, and daily practice. It is simple enough for learners, but strong enough to sound clear. Do not underestimate it. Clear structure is one of the secrets of fluent speaking. Now, let us talk about turning short sentences into stories. Stories are powerful because they make your English personal. Many learners can talk about general ideas, but they struggle to tell what happened to them. To tell stories, you need time frames and sequence frames. Use phrases like "one day," "at first," "then," "after that," "later," "finally," "that was when." These phrases help your story move. For example, a short sentence is, "I was nervous." Turn it into a story. One day, someone asked me a question in English. At first, I understood the question, but I could not answer quickly. Then I started translating in my mind, and after that, I forgot the words I wanted to use. Finally, I realized that my problem was not only vocabulary. My problem was that I did not have automatic sentence frames. This is a strong learner story. Stories help you speak longer because they follow order. You do not need to invent everything at once. You only move from beginning to middle to end. If you train story frames, your speaking becomes more natural. Another storytelling frame is situation, problem, action, lesson. Situation: I was watching an English video. Problem: I understood the video, but I could not explain the same idea in my own words. Action: So I started practicing sentence frames aloud. Lesson: one thing I learned is that understanding English is not enough. I need to produce English daily. This gives you a clear story from one experience. This is how you turn a small event into long speaking. You do not need dramatic stories. Your daily learning experience is enough. Talk about what happened, what was difficult, what you did, and what you learned. These 4 parts can create many spoken paragraphs. Now, let us talk about description. Many learners also struggle to describe things. They see something, but they cannot talk about it for more than 1 line. Description becomes easier when you use layers. First, say what it is. Second, say what it looks like. Third, say how it feels. Fourth, say why it matters. For example, if you describe your English journey, you can say, "My English journey is a long process. At first it felt confusing because I knew words but could not make sentences fast. It feels challenging, but also exciting because every day I can see small improvement. It matters to me because English can help me express myself and connect with more people." This is description with layers. You can describe a place, a person, a habit, a problem, or a goal the same way. What is it? What is it like? How do you feel about it? Why is it important? These questions create longer speaking. Now let us connect this chapter to your sentence engine. In earlier chapters, you learned that sentence frames help you start, but starting is only the first level. In this chapter, you are learning how to continue. A strong sentence engine must do both. It must start quickly and continue clearly. If your engine only starts but does not move forward, you will still feel limited. If it starts and continues, your speaking becomes powerful. Starting frames include, "I think." The problem is, "One thing I noticed is." Continuing frames include, "because." For example, "At the same time, that's why." Finishing frames include, "So the main point is, that is why." In the end, the lesson is, when these 3 levels work together, your English becomes organized. Think of speaking like building a house. Sentence starters are the door, connectors are the walls, examples are the windows, conclusions are the roof. If you only have a door, you do not have a house. If you only start sentences but cannot expand them, your speaking is incomplete. You need the full structure. Now practice with the sentence. "I want to stop translating." Start with the sentence. Add reason. "I want to stop translating because translation makes my English slow." Add example. For example, when someone asks me a question, I first think in my own language and then try to convert it into English. Add contrast. But when I use sentence frames, I can start directly in English. Add result. That's why I believe pattern practice is better than word-by-word translation. Now you have a strong paragraph. Another practice. "I need more confidence." Add reason. "I need more confidence because fear stops me from speaking." Add example. For example, sometimes I know the answer, but I stay silent because I am afraid of mistakes. Add solution. The best way to fix this is to speak with simple frames every day. Add result. That's why I should practice even when my English is not perfect. This is powerful and emotional. Another practice, English sentences come slowly. Add reason. English sentences come slowly because I build them word by word. Add example. For example, I search for every word separately, then I check grammar, and then I worry about pronunciation. Add solution. One solution is to repeat useful frames until they become automatic. Add conclusion. That is how sentence speed begins to grow. This is exactly how you train long speaking. The more you practice expansion, the less afraid you become of speaking longer. You realize that long speaking is not a mystery. It is structure. It is statement, reason, example, result. It is problem, explanation, solution, lesson. It is opinion, reason, example, conclusion. When your mind knows the structure, your speaking becomes calmer. This calmness matters. When your mind is calm, your English comes better. When your mind is panicked, even simple words disappear. Structure creates calm because it tells your brain where to go next. Without structure, speaking feels like walking in darkness. With structure, speaking feels like following a path. Now some learners may ask, what if I do not have enough vocabulary to speak longer? The answer is, use the words you have, but organize them better. Many learners already know enough words to explain simple ideas, but they do not use structure. Do not wait for advanced vocabulary before practicing long speaking. Use simple words, speak clearly, repeat, expand. The more you speak, the more vocabulary you will naturally need and learn. Simple English can be powerful when it is organized. I feel nervous because I am afraid of mistakes, but I practice every day because I want to improve, is simple, but it communicates. That is better than waiting silently because you want an advanced sentence. Communication grows through use. Another important point, do not make your sentences too long too early. Long speaking does not mean one never-ending sentence. It means connected sentences. Many learners try to create huge sentences and get lost. Instead, use clear short sentences connected with simple connectors. I want to improve my speaking. The reason is simple. I want to communicate with confidence. For example, I want to answer questions without translating. That's why I practice sentence frames. This is better than one confusing sentence. Good speaking is not only length, it is clarity. You can speak longer by connecting clear sentences, not by forcing complicated grammar. This is very important. Your goal is not to impress people with complexity. Your goal is to express your thoughts with control. Control creates confidence. The next skill is adding personal meaning. Personal meaning makes your speaking more engaging. Instead of giving only general advice, connect the idea to yourself. For example, general sentence. Sentence frames are useful. Personal version. Sentence frames are useful for me because they help me start speaking when my mind feels blank. This is stronger because it sounds real. It is your experience. Another example, general sentence. Practice is important. Personal version. Practice is important for me because when I stop practicing for a few days, my sentences become slow again. This feels honest and natural. People connect with personal English because it has emotion. In your daily practice, take every idea and make it personal. For me, in my experience, I have noticed that one thing I struggle with is, one thing that helped me is, these frames help you speak longer because your life gives you many details. Your experience is full of English material. Now, let us build a full answer using all the tools. Question: why do learners struggle to speak English? Answer: I think many learners struggle to speak English because they build every sentence from zero. They may know many words, but they do not have automatic sentence frames. For example, when someone asks them a question, they first translate the answer in their own language. Then they search for English words, and then they worry about grammar. This makes speaking slow and stressful. At the same time, they often wait for perfect English before they speak, and that creates more fear. The best way to fix this is to practice simple sentence frames every day until the brain can use them automatically. That's why I believe English speaking is not only about learning more words. It is about training the mind to create sentences faster. This answer is not built from difficult vocabulary. It is built from structure. Opinion, reason, example, explanation, contrast, solution, conclusion. This is long speaking power. Now another full answer. Question: how can I make English sentences faster? Answer: the best way to make English sentences faster is to repeat useful patterns every day. The reason is that your brain becomes faster with familiar structures. For example, if you repeat the frame "I think" with many different ideas, your mouth becomes comfortable starting opinions. If you repeat the "reason is," you become better at explaining. If you repeat "for example," you become better at giving details. Over time, these frames become automatic, So you do not need to translate every sentence. That's why repetition and substitution are very important for building sentence speed. Again, structure creates power. You must train this kind of speaking daily. Not only read it, not only understand it, speak it. Take one question and answer with structure. Record yourself, listen, notice where you stopped. Did you need a reason? Did you need an example? Did you need a connector? Did you need a conclusion? Then train that part. Your weak point becomes your next practice. This is how serious learners improve. They do not simply say, "My speaking is bad." They identify the exact missing piece. Maybe they can start, but they cannot explain. Then they train reason frames. Maybe they can explain, but they cannot give examples. Then they train example frames. Maybe they can speak, but their ideas feel disconnected. Then they train connectors. Maybe they can speak long, but they cannot finish clearly. Then they train conclusion frames. Every weakness has a frame. Every frame can be trained. Every trained frame strengthens the sentence engine. Do not think long speaking is only for YouTube, exams, or presentations. You need it in real life too. When someone asks, "How was your day?" you can say more than good. You can say, "It was good, but a little busy because I had many things to do." For example, "I worked in the morning, then I practiced English in the evening. I felt tired, but I was happy because I stayed consistent." This is natural long speaking. When someone asks, "Why are you learning English?" you can say more than "for job." You can say, "I'm learning English because I want better opportunities, but I also want to express myself more clearly. For example, I want to understand videos, speak with people, and share my ideas without translating everything. That's why I practice every day." This is real communication. When someone asks, "What is your biggest problem?" you can say more than speaking. You can say, "My biggest problem is speaking fast because I still translate in my mind." For example, "I know many words, but when I need to answer quickly, the sentence does not come immediately. That's why I am training sentence frames." This answer is useful, personal, and clear. This is the power of expansion. Now let us talk about the emotional side. When you can speak longer, your confidence changes. You no longer feel like you have only one small sentence inside you. You feel that you can explain yourself. You can show your thoughts. You can continue even if the first sentence is simple. This gives you a new identity. You begin to feel less like a learner who is always stuck, and more like a speaker who is growing. Confidence grows when your mouth proves that it can continue. Every expanded answer is proof. Every connected paragraph is proof. Every 1-minute speech is proof. Your brain starts saying, "I can speak longer than before." That belief is powerful because it makes you more willing to speak again. But remember, do not judge your early long speaking too harshly. It may be slow, it may include mistakes, it may repeat ideas. That is normal. You are training structure. Over time, your answers will become smoother. First, focus on continuing. Later, focus on improving quality. A learner who continues can improve. A learner who stops cannot. This chapter is asking you to make a new promise. I will not let my sentences die too quickly. I will learn to expand. I will add reasons. I will give examples. I will show results. I will use connectors. I will tell small stories. I will speak with structure. I will turn short English into speaking power. At the end of this chapter, remember this golden rule. A small sentence is not the end, it is the beginning. Every sentence can grow. Every idea can expand. Every answer can become stronger when you add why, example, result, contrast, and experience. Do not wait for advanced English to speak longer. Use simple English with strong structure. Do not wait for perfect grammar to explain yourself. Use clear frames and keep moving. Do not stop after one sentence because you feel unsure. Add because. Add, for example. Add that's why. Add your experience. Let the sentence become a thought. Let the thought become a paragraph. Let the paragraph become confidence. This is how small sentences become long speaking power. And when you train this every day, your English will no longer feel like broken pieces. It will begin to connect. It will begin to flow. It will begin to carry your real thoughts. Your sentence engine will not only start faster, it will continue longer. And that is when speaking English begins to feel less like a test and more like a voice that finally knows how to move. Chapter 7. The Daily Sentence Engine Routine. If you want English sentences to come fast, you cannot depend on random practice, sudden motivation, or watching English lessons only when you feel inspired. A strong sentence engine is not built by luck. It is built by a daily routine. It is built by small actions repeated until your brain begins to trust English patterns. It is built when you stop waiting for the perfect day and start training your mind, your mouth, and your confidence every single day. Many learners fail not because they are lazy, but because they practice without a system. One day they watch grammar, another day they memorize vocabulary, another day they listen to a podcast, another day they read something. All of these activities can help, but if they are not connected to speaking, the learner still feels stuck. They collect English, but they do not train output. They understand more, but they cannot speak faster. They keep filling the mind, but they do not build the engine that makes sentences come out. This is why your daily routine must be different. Your routine must not only give you more English, it must make English active. It must train your brain to choose sentence frames quickly. It must train your mouth to say those frames aloud. It must train your confidence to start before the sentence feels perfect. It must train your speaking flow so one small sentence can become a longer answer. This is the purpose of the daily sentence engine routine. The first rule of this routine is simple. Practice every day, even if the practice is short. A short daily routine is more powerful than a long practice session once a week. Why? Because the brain learns through repeated contact. If you touch English speaking every day, your brain receives the message that English is part of your life. If you practice only sometimes, English remains a visitor. You want English to become a daily road inside your mind, not a place you visit once in a while. Many learners say, "I do not have time." But the truth is, you do not need 3 hours every day to build sentence speed. You need focused minutes. You need 15 minutes with the right method. 15 minutes of active sentence training can be more powerful than 2 hours of passive watching. Passive watching may entertain you. Active training changes you. Passive watching gives you the feeling of learning. Active speaking gives you the proof of progress. Your daily routine should begin with frame activation. This means you choose a few sentence frames and wake them up inside your brain. Do not start your practice with a blank mind. Start with ready roads. Choose 5 useful frames such as "I think," "the reason is," "it is difficult for me to," "one thing I noticed is," and "the best way to improve is." These frames are simple, but they can create hundreds of sentences. Say each frame aloud several times. Let your mouth feel the rhythm. Let your brain remember the road. When you say "I think" aloud, you are training the beginning of opinions. When you say "the reason is" aloud, you are training explanation. When you say "it is difficult for me to" aloud, you are training problem description. When you say "one thing I noticed is" aloud, you are training personal reflection. When you say "the best way to improve is" aloud, you are training solution language. Each frame has a job. Together, they become engine parts. After frame activation, move into sentence creation. Do not only repeat the frame, fill it with your own ideas. If the frame is "I think," create 5 sentences. I think English becomes easier with repetition. I think learners should practice speaking daily. I think translation makes sentences slow. I think sentence frames help confidence. I think simple English can become powerful when it is organized. Now the frame is not dead. It is alive. It is carrying meaning. Do the same with "the reason is." Say "the reason is that my brain needs repetition." The reason is that speaking requires automatic patterns. The reason is that I cannot build every sentence from zero. The reason is that my mouth needs practice. The reason is that confidence grows through use. Every sentence trains your mind to explain. Every repetition makes the road stronger. Then take, it is difficult for me to say, it is difficult for me to answer quickly. It is difficult for me to stop translating. It is difficult for me to speak when I feel nervous. It is difficult for me to make long sentences. It is difficult for me to remember words during real conversation. These sentences are not just practice. They are your real learning problems in English form. When you can describe your problem in English, you begin to control it. This is important because many learners cannot even explain their English struggle in English. They only feel the problem. But when you can say, it is difficult for me to build sentences quickly, you have turned confusion into a clear target, and a clear target can be trained. Your routine should help you name your weakness, speak through it, and build the pattern that fixes it. After sentence creation, do substitution practice. Substitution is the exercise that makes your sentence engine flexible. Choose one frame and change only one part. For example, use, I want to improve my speaking. I want to improve my listening. I want to improve my sentence speed. I want to improve my confidence. I want to improve my pronunciation. Then change the frame slightly. I am trying to improve. I have been trying to improve. The best way to improve. This teaches your brain that English patterns can move and change. This is how sentence speed grows, not by memorizing one perfect sentence, but by learning how to change parts quickly. Real conversation is unpredictable. You cannot memorize every answer, but if your frames are flexible, you can create answers in the moment. Flexibility gives freedom. A learner who only memorizes lines is trapped when the conversation changes. A learner who trains patterns can adapt. Your routine must also include expansion practice. This is where you turn small sentences into long speaking power. Take one short sentence and grow it. For example, start with, I want to speak English fluently. Add because, I want to speak English fluently because I want to express myself clearly. Add example. For example, when someone asks me a question, I want to answer without translating. Add result. That's why I practice sentence frames every day. Now a small sentence becomes a full answer. Do this with another sentence. I feel nervous when I speak. Add because. I feel nervous when I speak because I am afraid of mistakes. Add example. For example, sometimes I know the answer, but I stop because I worry about grammar. Add solution. The best way to fix this is to practice simple sentence frames until my brain feels safe. Add result. That's why I need daily speaking practice. This routine trains not only sentences, but also emotional confidence. Expansion practice is powerful because it teaches your brain that you are not finished after one line. Many learners stop too early. They say one sentence and think they have nothing more. But when you train expansion, your brain learns to ask, why? Can I give an example? What is the result? What is the solution? These questions create more English. They help your speaking continue. After expansion, your routine should include the 1-minute speaking challenge. This is where you choose one topic and speak for 1 minute without writing first. The topic can be simple: English learning, confidence, mistakes, listening, speaking, daily routine, motivation, or fear. The goal is not to speak perfectly. The goal is to keep moving. Use the frames you practiced. If your mind becomes blank, use a rescue frame. What I mean is, the main point is, for example, that's why. These frames help you continue. At first, 1 minute may feel long. You may pause. You may repeat yourself. You may make grammar mistakes. That is normal. Do not stop. A 1-minute speaking challenge is like lifting a weight. The first time feels heavy because your speaking muscles are weak. But if you do it every day, your mind becomes stronger. 1 minute becomes easier, then 2 minutes becomes possible. then longer answers become natural. The purpose of the 1-minute challenge is to teach your brain that English can continue even when it is not perfect. This is very important. Many learners stop because they make one mistake and feel embarrassed. But in real communication, you must continue. You can correct yourself. You can explain again. You can use simpler words. You can keep the conversation alive. The 1-minute challenge trains this ability. Your routine must also include review. Review is the part most learners ignore, but it is the part that makes patterns permanent. If you practice a frame today and never use it again, it may disappear. If you review it tomorrow, next week, and next month, it becomes stronger. The brain keeps what it uses. The brain forgets what it only sees once. Review is not boring. Review is the bridge between practice and automatic speaking. Every day, review yesterday's frames. If yesterday you practiced, "I have noticed that," use it again today. Say, "I have noticed that. Repetition helps my speaking. I have noticed that. My mind freezes less when I use frames. I have noticed that speaking aloud is different from reading silently." This keeps the frame alive. Review old patterns before adding too many new ones. Many learners want new lessons all the time because new lessons feel exciting. But fluency is not built by excitement alone. It is built by ownership. A new phrase is not yours until you can use it. A new grammar point is not yours until your mouth can produce it. A new word is not yours until you can place it inside a sentence. Review creates ownership. Your routine should follow a clear structure. First, activate frames. Second, create sentences. Third, substitute endings. Fourth, expand one sentence into a longer answer. Fifth, speak for 1 minute. Sixth, review old frames. This is simple, but if you do it daily, it can change your speaking. You are not just learning English, you are training production. You are building the sentence engine. Now let us create a 15-minute routine. Minute 1 to 3. Frame activation. Choose 5 frames and say them aloud. I think. The reason is, for example, it is difficult for me to. That's why. Repeat them with energy. Do not mumble. Train your voice. Minute 4 to 6. Sentence creation. Create 3 sentences for each frame. Keep them simple, clear, and personal. Do not write first. Speak directly. Minute 7 to 9. Substitution. Choose 1 frame and make 10 variations. For example, I want to improve with 10 endings. This trains flexibility. Minute 10 to 12. Expansion. Take 1 small sentence and grow it with because, for example. And that's why. Speak the full answer aloud 2 or 3 times. Minute 13 to 15. 1 minute speaking plus review. Speak for 1 minute on one topic. Then repeat yesterday's strongest frame 3 times with new ideas. This is not complicated, but it is powerful because every part has a purpose. Activation wakes the road. Creation fills the road. Substitution makes the road flexible. Expansion makes the road longer. 1 minute speaking tests the road. Review keeps the road alive. If you do this routine for 7 days, you will feel more active. If you do it for 30 days, you will notice some frames coming faster. If you do it for 90 days, your speaking identity will begin to change. You will no longer feel like someone who only studies English. You will feel like someone who trains English. There is a big difference. A student studies and waits. A speaker trains and moves. Your daily routine should also have a weekly focus. Do not practice everything randomly every day. Choose 1 speaking skill each week. 1 week can be opinion frames. Another week can be explanation frames. Another week can be story frames. Another week can be problem and solution frames. Another week can be connectors. This gives your training direction. For example, in week 1, train opinion frames. I think, in my opinion, the way I see it, I believe, to me. Every day, answer simple questions using these frames. What do I think about English learning? What do I think about mistakes? What do I think about daily practice? After 1 week, opinions become easier. In week 2, train explanation frames. The reason is, this means that. What I mean is, the main point is. In other words, practice explaining your ideas. This helps you speak longer. In week 3, train example frames. For example, one example is, a good example is, let me give you an example. This helps you support your ideas clearly. In week 4, train solution frames. The best way is, one solution is, what helped me was, if you want to improve, you need to. This helps you sound confident and helpful. After 1 month, you will have trained 4 important speaking muscles: opinion, explanation, example, and solution. This is how a serious routine works. It builds one layer at a time. Do not try to master every English structure at once. That creates pressure. Build in layers. A strong engine is not created by throwing random parts together. It is built carefully. One part is installed, then another part. Then the parts are tested together. Your sentence engine is the same. You must also track your progress. Many learners quit because they do not see improvement, but they do not measure anything. Record your speaking once a week. Choose the same question, such as, why do I want to improve my English? Answer it for 1 minute. Save the recording. Next week, answer again. After 4 weeks, listen to the first recording and the latest recording. You may notice your sentences are faster, your pauses are shorter, or your answer is longer. This proof gives motivation. Do not judge your recording with cruelty. Use it as feedback. If you pause too much, train starters. If your answer is too short, train expansion. If you repeat the same words, train substitution. If your ideas are disconnected, train connectors. Recording is not for shame. Recording is for direction. Your routine should also include shadowing, but not random shadowing. Shadow sentence frames. When you hear a useful phrase, repeat it. If you hear what I'm trying to say is, pause and say it aloud. Then create your own sentence. What I'm trying to say is, learners need more output practice. If you hear the reason I believe this is, repeat it and use it. This turns listening into speaking material. Many learners listen for meaning only. Meaning is important, but if you want to speak, listen for patterns. Every video, podcast, audiobook, or conversation can give you sentence frames. Do not only ask, what does this mean? Ask, can I use this structure? This question changes listening into sentence engine training. Your daily routine can also use reading, but again, not passive reading. Read 1 short paragraph and steal 3 sentence patterns. If the sentence says, one of the biggest reasons learners struggle is, take that frame, use it. One of the biggest reasons learners struggle is, translation. If the sentence says, this is why, take it, use it. This is why daily practice matters. Reading becomes powerful when you extract frames and speak them. The routine must connect input to output. Input means listening and reading. Output means speaking and writing. Many learners consume input, but do not convert it into output. That is why they understand, but cannot speak. Your routine should always ask, what pattern did I hear or read today, and how can I use it in my own sentence? This question builds the bridge. Now let us talk about mistakes inside the routine. You will make mistakes. You will say wrong grammar. You will forget words. You will repeat yourself. You will speak slowly. This is not a sign that the routine is failing. This is a sign that training is happening. You are moving from passive knowledge to active speech, and active speech always feels messy at first. A gym workout feels heavy because the muscle is working. Speaking practice feels messy because the sentence engine is working. Do not run away from that feeling. Many learners escape into passive learning because passive learning feels safe. Watching videos does not expose your mistakes. Reading grammar does not embarrass your mouth. But speaking aloud shows your weakness. That is why it works. Your weakness is not the enemy. Hidden weakness is the enemy. When you speak aloud, weakness becomes visible. When weakness becomes visible, You can train it. If you never speak, your weakness stays hidden and controls you. If you speak daily, your weakness becomes your practice plan. This routine is not only for English, it is for courage. Every time you speak aloud, you are teaching yourself that your voice is allowed to exist before it is perfect. This is a deep lesson. Many learners keep waiting for permission. Permission from grammar, permission from vocabulary, permission from confidence. But confidence does not come before speaking. Confidence grows because you speak. The daily sentence engine routine gives you proof that you are improving through action. You do not need to feel confident before the routine, you only need to start. Confidence can arrive later. Your job is to show up and train. Now understand the emotional power of consistency. One day of practice may feel small, but one day repeated many times becomes identity. When you practice sentence frames every day, your brain slowly begins to believe, I am someone who speaks English daily. That identity matters. A person who sees themselves as a speaker behaves differently from a person who sees themselves as a silent learner. A silent learner waits for the right moment. A speaker creates practice moments. A silent learner hides from mistakes. A speaker uses mistakes as training. A silent learner says, I will speak when I am ready. A speaker says, I become ready by speaking. This identity shift is one of the greatest gifts of a daily routine. Your routine should be realistic. Do not create a plan so difficult that you quit after 3 days. If you can do 15 minutes, do 15 minutes. If you can only do 10 minutes, do 10 minutes. If you are very busy, do 5 minutes, but do not do nothing. The goal is to keep the chain alive. A small routine done daily is better than a perfect routine that exists only in your imagination. On busy days, use the 5-minute emergency routine. 1 minute, repeat 5 frames. 2 minutes, create 10 sentences from 1 frame. 1 minute, expand 1 sentence with because and that's why. 1 minute, speak freely about your day. That is enough to keep your engine warm. Never let a busy day become an excuse for complete silence. On strong days, do more. Record a 2-minute speech, practice more frames, listen to a short clip and steal patterns, write a small paragraph and speak it aloud. But do not depend only on strong days. Your fluency is built on normal days. It is built when you practice even without excitement. This is where discipline becomes important. Motivation starts the journey, but routine continues it. Motivation says, I want to speak English. Routine says, then speak today. Motivation dreams, routine builds. Motivation feels good, routine creates results. You need both. But when motivation disappears, routine must remain. Your daily routine should also protect you from comparison. Many learners watch fluent speakers and feel bad. They compare their beginning to someone else's years of practice. This destroys confidence. Instead, compare yourself to your old self. Are your sentences coming faster than last week? Are you using more frames than before? Are your pauses shorter? Are you speaking longer? This is the comparison that matters. Every learner has a different journey. Some people have more time, some have more exposure, some have more speaking partners, some started earlier, but every learner can build a stronger sentence engine through daily training. Do not waste energy feeling behind. Use that energy to practice your frames. Another important part of the routine is topic rotation. If you practice only one topic, your English may become strong in that topic but weak in others. Rotate topics weekly. Practice English learning, daily life, work, family, goals, problems, hobbies, health, technology, travel, and personal experiences. Use the same frames across different topics. This gives your sentence engine range. For example, the frame "the biggest problem is" can be used in English learning. The biggest problem is translation. In work, the biggest problem is time management. In health, the biggest problem is consistency. In daily life, the biggest problem is distraction. Now the frame becomes flexible across life. This is real fluency. Your routine should also train questions, not only answers. Many learners can answer but cannot ask. Asking questions is a powerful part of conversation. Train frames like, can you explain? What do you mean by? How can I? Why do you think? What is the best way to? These question frames help you keep conversations alive. Speaking is not only producing answers, speaking is also creating interaction. Practice question frames daily. Ask yourself 5 questions and answer them. What is the best way to improve sentence speed? Why do learners translate? How can I build confidence? What do I need to practice today? This trains both sides of conversation, asking and answering. Your routine should also include correction, but correction must be gentle. Do not stop every sentence to correct yourself. That destroys flow. First, speak, then review. After your 1 minute speaking, choose 1 or 2 mistakes and fix them. Do not try to fix everything at once. Too much correction creates fear. Smart correction creates growth. For example, if you said, I want to improve English, after speaking you can correct it. I want to improve my English. Then repeat the correct sentence 3 times. This is useful. But if you interrupt yourself every 3 seconds, your speaking confidence will collapse. Flow first, correction after. This rule protects your voice. Another strong practice is the better version drill. First, speak naturally for 1 minute. Then choose 1 sentence and make it better. If you said, English hard for me, improve it. English is difficult for me because I still translate too much. Then expand it. English is difficult for me because I still translate too much. But I am training sentence frames so I can speak faster. This drill teaches improvement without shame. Your routine should make you feel guided, not punished. You are not practicing because you hate your English. You are practicing because you believe your English can grow. This mindset matters. If practice feels like punishment, you will avoid it. If practice feels like building power, you will return to it. Now let us imagine your first 30 days with the daily sentence engine routine. In the first week, you may feel slow. You may need time to create sentences. You may repeat basic frames, but you will begin to notice that speaking aloud is different from thinking silently. In the second week, some frames will feel familiar. You may start faster with I think or the reason is. In the third week, you may expand answers more naturally using because and for example. In the fourth week, you may speak for 1 minute with less fear. This is progress. The change may not feel dramatic every day, but it is happening. Fluency grows quietly. It grows through repeated sentences, small improvements, shorter pauses, and stronger confidence. One day you will realize that a frame came out automatically. That moment is important. Celebrate it. It means the engine is learning. After 90 days, the results can become deeper. You may begin to think in patterns. You may stop translating some common answers. You may answer simple questions faster. You may explain your English problems more clearly. You may speak longer about familiar topics. You may feel less fear when making mistakes. This is not magic. It is the result of daily training. But there is a danger after improvement begins. Some learners stop practicing because they feel better. Do not stop too early. When your engine begins to work, keep training it. A car still needs fuel. A body still needs exercise. A language still needs use. If you stop using English, the patterns become weaker. Consistency must continue. Your goal is not to finish English. Your goal is to live with English. A sentence engine is not something you build once and forget. It is something you strengthen through use. The more you speak, the more it grows. The more you avoid speaking, the weaker it becomes. This is why daily practice matters even after improvement. Now let us create your long-term routine. Daily practice builds the habit. Weekly review builds direction. Monthly recording shows progress. Every month, choose one bigger speaking goal. Month 1, answer common questions without translating. Month 2, speak for 2 minutes on familiar topics. Month 3, tell personal stories. Month 4, explain opinions with reasons and examples. Month 5, practice real conversations. This gives your journey structure. A learner without structure feels lost. A learner with structure feels guided. The English sentence engine is not only a method, it is a direction. It tells you what to train next, start sentences, expand sentences, connect ideas, speak for time, review patterns, use them in real life. This is the path. Now, real life is the final test. Do not keep your sentence engine only in practice. Use it outside practice. When you message someone in English, use a frame. When you comment on a video, use a frame. When you talk to yourself, use a frame. When you write a short journal, use a frame. When you answer someone, use a frame. Every real use strengthens the engine. If you cannot find a speaking partner, do not stop. Speak alone. Record yourself. Use voice notes. Read your own sentences aloud. Describe your day. Ask and answer questions. Your mouth does not know whether the listener is there or not. It still trains. Of course, real conversation is valuable, but self-speaking is powerful preparation. When you finally speak to someone, use simple frames first. Do not try to impress them. Try to communicate. Say, I think. The reason is, for example, what I mean is. These frames are enough to begin real conversation. As your confidence grows, your English will become richer. Remember, your daily routine is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming available. Available to speak, available to practice, available to make mistakes, available to improve. A learner who practices daily is always giving the brain a chance to grow. A learner who waits for perfect confidence gives the brain nothing to build from. At the end of this chapter, take this truth deeply. Your sentence engine will become what you repeat. If you repeat translation, translation becomes stronger. If you repeat silence, silence becomes stronger. If you repeat fear, fear becomes stronger. But if you repeat sentence frames, frames become stronger. If you repeat speaking, speaking becomes stronger. If you repeat expansion, longer answers become stronger. If you repeat confidence through action, confidence becomes stronger. Your future English is being built by your daily habits. So choose your routine and protect it. Protect those 15 minutes like they matter, because they do. Protect your speaking practice from excuses. Protect your sentence frames from being forgotten. Protect your confidence from comparison. Protect your progress from impatience. You are not trying to become fluent in one day. You are building an engine that will serve you for years. Every day you practice, you lay another road inside your mind. Every frame you repeat becomes another path for your thoughts. Every sentence you speak aloud becomes proof that English can move through you. Every small expansion teaches your brain to continue. Every 1-minute speech tells your confidence, I am not silent anymore. This is the final lesson of the English sentence engine. Sentences come fast when sentence training becomes daily. Not when you wish, not when you only watch, not when you only understand. Sentences come fast when your brain has repeated the roads, your mouth has practiced the movement, and your confidence has learned to speak before perfection. Do not wait for the perfect moment. Make today the first serious day. Choose 5 frames, speak 10 sentences, expand 1 idea, record 1 minute, review tomorrow, repeat again. This is how the engine starts. This is how the engine strengthens. This is how English moves from your mind to your mouth. One day, you will look back at the learner who used to freeze, translate, and stay silent. You will remember how difficult it felt to make even 1 sentence quickly, and then you will hear yourself speaking with more movement, more structure, more confidence, and more life. That day will not happen because you waited. It will happen because you trained. So train your sentence engine daily. Build the roads, repeat the frames, speak the sentences, expand the ideas. Continue even when it feels imperfect, because every sentence you speak today is preparing the fluent voice you will use tomorrow. Now you understand the truth. Your English was not stuck because you were not smart enough. Your English was not slow because you were not made for fluency. Your English was not silent because you had nothing inside your mind. Your English was stuck because your sentence engine was never trained to move fast. You had words, but the words were not connected. You had grammar, but the grammar was not automatic. You had ideas, but the ideas were still trapped behind translation. You had the desire to speak, but your brain was still building every sentence from zero. And now you know why that made speaking feel heavy, slow, and painful. But from today, that old method ends. You do not need to wait for perfect English before you speak. You do not need to memorize the whole dictionary before you open your mouth. You do not need to translate every sentence from your first language and then hope it sounds natural. You need patterns, you need frames, you need repetition, you need daily speaking practice. You need a system that trains your mind to build sentences automatically. This is what the English sentence engine has given you. It has shown you that fast sentences are not magic. Fast sentences are trained. Fluent speakers do not create every sentence from nothing. They use ready roads inside their mind. They use "I think" to begin opinions. They use "the reason is" to explain. They use "for example" to make ideas clear. They use "that's why" to finish with meaning. They use patterns so often that English begins to move without pressure, and you can build the same power. Maybe today your English still feels slow. Maybe you still pause. Maybe you still translate. Maybe you still make mistakes. But now you are not lost. Now you know what to train. When you freeze, train sentence starters. When you stop after one line, train expansion. When your words feel separate, place them inside frames. When your answers feel short, add "because," for example, and "that's why." When your confidence feels weak, speak simple sentences every day until your mouth begins to trust English. Do not disrespect simple practice. Simple practice repeated daily becomes powerful. One frame repeated today can become automatic tomorrow. One sentence spoken aloud today can become confidence next week. One small routine done every day can become a fluent voice in the future. The learner who trains daily will always defeat the learner who only waits for motivation. So from today, do not say, "I cannot speak English." Say, "I am training my sentence engine." Do not say, "My mind becomes blank." Say, "I need stronger sentence frames." Do not say, "I know English, but I cannot speak." Say, "I will turn my knowledge into active sentences." Do not say, "I am afraid of mistakes." Say, "Mistakes are part of the training that will make my English stronger." This is the new identity you must carry. You are not only an English student anymore, you are becoming an English speaker. A speaker does not wait forever. A speaker trains. A speaker starts with simple sentences. A speaker continues even with small mistakes. A speaker repeats useful patterns until they become natural. A speaker builds the engine before expecting speed. Every day, give your mind a sentence road. Every day, speak through one frame. Every day, build one answer. Every day, expand one idea. Every day, prove to yourself that English can come out of your mouth, not only stay inside your head. And one day, something beautiful will happen. Someone will ask you a question in English, and your old fear will try to return. But this time, your mind will not stay empty. A frame will appear. "I think," your sentence will begin. Then another frame will come. "The reason is," your explanation will continue. Then you will add, "For example," and your idea will become clearer. Then you will finish with, "That's why," and suddenly you will realize something powerful. You are speaking, not perfectly, not without mistakes, but freely enough to continue, clearly enough to be understood, confidently enough to not run away from the conversation, and that moment will not be luck. It will be the result of every sentence you trained, every frame you repeated, every day you practiced when nobody was watching. That is how fluency is built. The English sentence engine is not just a book. It is a new way to see English. It teaches you that speaking is not about waiting for confidence. Speaking is how confidence is created. It teaches you that sentences do not come fast because you panic. They come fast because your mind has repeated the right patterns. It teaches you that English does not become natural through pressure. It becomes natural through daily movement, so keep moving. When English feels hard, keep moving. When your sentence breaks, keep moving. When you forget a word, use a simpler one and keep moving. When you make a mistake, correct yourself and keep moving. When your mind wants to translate, choose a frame and keep moving. Movement is what breaks silence. Movement is what builds confidence. Movement is what turns a learner into a speaker. Your goal is not to sound perfect today. Your goal is to become more active than yesterday. Your goal is not to speak like a native in one day. Your goal is to build the sentence engine that makes your English stronger every day. Your goal is not to remove every mistake before speaking. Your goal is to speak enough that mistakes become teachers, not prisons. This is your next step. Choose 5 sentence frames. Speak them aloud. Make 10 sentences. Expand 1 idea. Record 1 minute. Review tomorrow. Repeat again. Do not make it complicated. Do not wait for the perfect mood. Do not look for another secret before practicing the simple truth you already know, because the secret is not hidden anymore. Sentences come fast when patterns become automatic. Patterns become automatic when repetition becomes daily. Repetition becomes powerful when you speak aloud. Speaking becomes confident when you continue even before you are perfect. This is the engine. Build it with patience. Build it with discipline. Build it with your own voice. And as you build it, your English will slowly stop feeling like a locked door and start feeling like a road opening in front of you. If this book opened your mind and gave you a new way to train your English, subscribe to English Mindset Academy and write in the comments, "My sentences will come fast." Do not write it as a simple comment. Write it as a promise that you will not stay silent forever, a promise that you will not keep translating every sentence for the rest of your life, a promise that you will train your mind to build English sentences automatically. This was the English Sentence Engine, published by English Mindset Academy. Build the frame, speak the sentence, expand the idea, repeat every day, and soon the English that once felt stuck inside your mind will begin to move through your voice with power, clarity, and confidence.